I'll call to order the Tuesday, February 17th, 2026 meeting of the Middleton Select Board. A reminder for those that are in person in the meeting that this meeting is being recorded. First on the agenda is warrant number 2617 and facilities project warrant 81. I'll have the town administrator walk us through this.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A few notes here. Warrant 2617 dated February 19th, 2026 for payroll coming in just under $900,000. A few items there, about a little over $10,000 for snow, a theme for this time of year. Also a note for fire overtime, a small adjustment we have to make. We identified of that overtime figure, it was actually including some overtime for work that was directly relative to the building project, which should be carved out and going under the building project budget. So it was inflating those numbers just a little bit, so we're going to be adjusting those in-house, and we'll bring something forward shortly, kind of highlighting what that change is. For bills payable, coming in at $1,329,000 and change. You'll see about $15,000, the drawdown for the Mansfield Fund under DPW, about $40,000 for salt, $45,000 for snowplow. For the library, small amount there, a little over $3,000 for elevator maintenance. And kudos to Peter Coleman, our new facilities director, who had been coordinating with Jackie to hound them to come in and do that work. For school and town side, you'll see health insurance premiums roll through about $260,000 for the schools and just under $200,000 for the town. And then FP 81 coming in just under $400,000. This one's a little lighter, a little bit of a mix of items, about $190,000 for the design team and OPM, $90,000 for IT, some resources there, about $30,000 for alarm work. And then you'll see just under $40,000 for office supplies. Don't worry, that's not sticky notes. It's the FF&E budget for furniture and other items like that. So that's everything we have there for now.
One question, if I
Sure.
could. At the top, the, I guess it's public health something grant. What's that get us? Just curious.
Public health excellence grant.
Yeah. Just wondering what
comes
that
of
gets
it. It pays for staff. It's like the Tri-Town Health Inspector, I think.
Yeah,
is
it's
one
part of the
them.
regional.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Shared public health nurse, shared social worker, shared inspector with the three
Got it.
towns.
Thank you.
And then, Mr. Chair, relative to the next item for the minutes, executive session shouldn't be included in that,
Yes.
just open
Yep.
session. Okay.
So I will move to accept warrant 2617 and facilities project warrant 81 as presented.
Second.
Okay, there is a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, if any? That passes unanimously. In your package, you had minutes from the February 3rd open session. I don't know if there are any questions or comments on that. If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I move to accept the minutes from the February 3rd, 2026 open session and executive session.
Just open session.
Just open.
Oh, I'm sorry. Just open session.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, if any? Okay, that passes unanimously. Town Administrator, update and report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A few things around town. Budget Saturday was held recently, this past Saturday, February 7th. It was a difficult but productive conversation. It's a long day for everybody that participates. So thank you to the boards and committees and staff, and there'll be a little bit more of a breakdown for the fiscal 27 budget later on in the agenda. I met with representatives from the Historic Commission today at the new Town Hall and Community Center to take a look at some of the display cases in the lobbies. They're going to be providing some town relics and oddities and whatnot on a rotating basis in those cases, just to kind of showcase some of the cool historic elements of Middleton. So thank you to them for that partnership. Big thank you to our finance team for all of their coordination and filing paperwork with Lock and Lord for the final big borrowing that we've been talking about for the municipal project, and there's a few other not quite as large but still substantial borrowing elements included in that beyond the municipal project. But it's a lot of chasing paperwork and confirming different pieces from different departments, so thank you for that.
Can I ask a question on that? Given that rates are likely going to be continuing to drop some, at what point do we want to actually strike on the final bonding, or should we roll a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question, and Nick can probably speak to it a little bit too if he'd like to, but, I mean, that's tough because you don't really know when the bottom's gonna come on that. You're rolling the dice a little bit. I don't know if we could definitively point to the date, but I know we've had some luck and some success in trying to time the market. That's definitely part of it, so we're incorporating that in our math. Our police department hosted Coffee with a Cop last Monday, the 9th. It was well attended from what I hear, and I just wanted to thank them for taking the initiative. The community outreach is important. You know, for a stretch of time in recent memory, it was a little bit of a rough time for policing, so I appreciate members of our department getting out there and forming those relationships with members of the community. Liam Welch from Danvers IT and I met with representatives from Verizon last week just to talk a little bit about various municipal initiatives in the region. It was a productive conversation. They've been helping us as well move along some pieces of the municipal project. Jackie's been coordinating a lot on that as well. So we have started capital meetings as part of the fiscal 27 budget process. I just want to thank our department heads that are coming in to meet with us on that. They put a lot of thought, time and effort into those capital requests. Typically it's something, a one-time cost of an item over $5,000, something that's not in our operating budget, and it takes a lot of time and effort, so I definitely appreciate that, and also Finance Director Wood and ATA Bresnahan as well for all the coordination that goes into that process and pulling it all together. Eventually it's going to go for final review with this board and the Finance Committee at your March 7th budget summit, so keep an eye out for that. I met with MELD, the municipal project OPM and contractor, last week to talk a little bit about the MELD generator. They're having some excessive lead times to get that equipment in, and so our hope had been to get it in time for the opening of the building. It's probably going to come in several months after, depending on when the equipment can come in. So what we're trying to iron out with the OPM is what logistical concerns are there in it coming in a little bit after the fact, and we ultimately determine there's going to be no meaningful impact. The equipment they have to use isn't going to damage the asphalt or anything like that, and ultimately there's some ongoing site work happening in the spring anyway, so there'll be large equipment on site anyway, but just something to keep an eye on.
Can I ask you a question on that?
Sure.
So does that mean if there was a power outage a month from today, there would be no backup in the fire and police station?
Great question, Jeff. So the second piece of that is one of the makeups and for that exact scenario you're describing is temp power, and MELD is going to be providing that as well. So if there is some type of catastrophic event, the public safety building can fall back on that. There was actually also talk earlier on when the MELD generator first came up that it was going to carry the campus immediately. We did find out down the road that due to something with the switching, and I'm not an electrical engineer, but it wouldn't be instantaneous. It would take sometimes up to 20 minutes. The public safety building does have some battery backup as a fail-safe, and back in a smaller generator to the public safety building so that in that small gap of time we don't have to worry.
Instantaneous, okay.
Little coordination there, but it'll all iron out. I met with the Middleton Food Pantry last week to talk about their needs in the new space. We're trying to nail down their move as well, given all the, let's say it's going to be hectic, but there's going to be a lot of moving parts and moving town operations, and we figured why add one more. So they're going to come over hopefully sometime in April, it looks like, and we still have to nail down what they're going to have for refrigeration and figuring out the leasing of the space and other things that, as previously committed, is going to come before this board just to kind of review and talk about what that's going to look like. So keep an eye out for that. They'll stay in the meantime in the current Old Town Hall building, which isn't a bad thing. It'll be nice to have people there in the building when the COA heads out. We're meeting with the town of Danvers next week to talk a little bit about the intermunicipal agreement for water. That's been a long ongoing process. We try to meet somewhat quarterly to touch base on it. There's a few items that we can't in so many words, outside of our hands in terms of moving the needle. So we want to keep incrementally trying to keep this thing moving until there time comes that we can kind of fully revamp it and have a new agreement in place. So thank you to Danvers for working on that with us. And then lastly, a note that Jackie actually passed to me, and I would have really regretted missing marking the occasion, but this is the last time that you're going to be meeting in this room this evening. So thank you for the schools, for all the coordination that comes with that, and dealing with us and hosting us in their space.
Especially the custodians. We
Yep.
thank our
Same
custodians
thing,
for setting up for
yep,
us.
custodians and the setup and everything that comes with it. And, you know, it's a moment that could have happened quietly, but it's nice to call it out. So we've had some good meetings in this room. And that is everything for now.
Oh, nice way to end that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other items or discussion around the administrator's report? Okay.
Vote on the, did you hire a mover? Are we all set with that?
That is
Oh, it's in
also
later on?
in here
Okay.
as well.
Yeah,
Chomping at the bit today, Jeff.
Okay.
Justin's lined up a U-Haul trailer in the back of his car.
They'll be stretching. Yep.
Okay, next on the agenda is change order 15.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So we have a couple things relative to the municipal complex in your packet this evening. So change order, actually might take them in a separate order. So if we can do ASR 4 first. So as the board may recall, when Brian LaRoche was last here visiting, we were talking about a contract amendment just relative to the length of the building. Specific part of the building project was a little bit longer than what was originally anticipated when they put in their proposal. This extension is different and separate from that. And what it is specific to is the additional site work relative to the grounds that we had talked about them coming back in the spring. We had a good conversation with them where they offered, you know, rather than having their typical full fee of about $57,000 a month, they're going to reduce it by 40%, which we felt was fair because it's significantly less oversight. Horizontal construction in general is a little bit less oversight than vertical.
And at that point, they will have turned over control of the building, so.
Correct. So there'll still be site control fence up on the areas that they need to work on, though. So we wanted to make sure that we had a set of eyes down there. You know, as we described to the building committee Wednesday of last week, basically an extra set of eyes just to make sure that everything that's being done down there, the correct quantities are still rolling in. It's effectively a clerk of the works. So
Is most of the fence coming down, like the fence along the sidewalk, is that all coming down prior to our move-in?
So the portion that's still going to be fenced off is around where the MELD generator is, behind the public safety
Yeah.
building, and then realistically, a majority of that front piece of the town green. So
To the left, really.
To the left.
Yeah.
So the biggest swath of the town green is still going to be fenced off.
Which will probably just to the left of where the entrance is to the
Exactly.
campus.
At the front, by the sidewalk, all that fence will be gone?
Directly in front of the building where the flagpoles
Yeah.
are, for a very brief period of time, there's going to be fencing, and then that will be removed first, and then it will just be that front lawn piece. So, so that's what ASR 4 is covering, is a reduced rate, 3.5 months at 40%.
Okay.
And that's for what's listed specific, delay final paving operations complete, those bullets?
Yeah, exactly. Those bullets is the scope that they're going to be doing. So anything relative to delayed spring condition items. So the final paving, there's a water line they found abandoned when they were working on 114 from, I think, maybe even prior to the golf course existing, that we legally need to cap, the MELD generator, and the town green regrading. So you may have seen that they moved the trailers that were at the front all the way to the back, and they reduced the size. That whole area has to be reworked too. So the total amount at a reduced rate of $40,000 for 3.5 months would be $80,682.
And there's no way we could, I mean, now that we're in those buildings, you know, is it something we could have the facilities director and whatnot? I mean,
We had talked about it, but things like the MELD, like installing the MELD generator, are like a little outside of his wheelhouse.
you know, but MELD's gonna do that,
Yeah.
so that's under their purview, which I have full faith in. The paving, you know, I mean, I don't mean to minimize it, but paving's paving. National Grid, their connection, like, we don't even know when the grid's gonna get to that.
No, we don't.
We don't.
But it's supposed to be in the spring.
right?
Yeah.
And then if it's just regrading, I don't know, just, because that's not cash, that's coming from borrowing, right?
It would be added, that's a great question. So it would be, well, actually, let me walk that back a little bit. So the town green portion is the use of the CPA-related funds, I believe,
Okay.
right? Is that
And there
is
was,
that accurate?
there was
Yeah.
a portion of the dollars that would recede for sidewalk and landscaping in front from a
Specific to
legislative,
that, yeah.
but a legislative
Earmark.
earmark as well.
So it would be drawing off those pots of money, but that's an excellent distinction to point out. And relative to the regrading, I guess, for folks watching at home, it's not, I think we may be oversimplifying it. They have to build out a multi-tiered engineered retention wall, like that's more than, than smoothing it out.
In relationship to the gazebo and all
Yes,
and all of that.
exactly, yeah, where the pavilion is going in and all those, the sidewalk work. and
I would
everything
say
else.
for
okay with
what,
that?
what the site looks like now and what it's gonna look like at the close of this is gonna be dramatically different in terms of contour shape. And I think we're gonna actually have a green area that is gonna be a lot more utilizable, is that a word? Well, I just made it
so.
one. So for me, I actually think this 80,000 is extremely well spent. I mean, I look at everything that WT Rich and PCA 360 have done as part of their retainer fees here that have come back, and this is the last piece of buttoning up. You know, obviously, there'll be different punch list items as we open the door and go live, but, you know, to your point, Rick, you know, we're right at the end, we just want to stop spending, but I appreciate them reducing the rate, because they could have made a decision of, no, this is what we
60% 's
contracted.
a lot, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I think getting this grading, retention, final paving, and everything done at the end, this is very visible.
It's our front door, basically.
Literally.
And we want it to look good. So,
I'm just looking, cut corners on that, just looking at the money, that's all.
Yep, no, I hear you. Okay, if there's not any further discussion on ASR 4, I would entertain a motion in the value of $80,682.
I will move to approve ASR 04, the amount of $80,682.
There is a motion, is there a second? There is a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed, if any? Okay, that passes unanimously. And then change order 15.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Change order 15 includes about 17 or so different potential change orders. The process for that is fairly rigorous. It goes through, first the architect, it passes through the OPM, the owner's project manager, then building committee chair Renault reviews it. I review it independently. And so we really kind of pick away at these things before they come around to actually happening. Nothing frivolous in this list. It's a lot of things that come with the end of the project. They're all, the cover sheets are all included in the packet for backup, but items, you know, ranging from like late work coordination for winter work to, you know, moving a pipe in a closet. It's a whole range of different items. And they're all additionally not adding necessarily to the contract value. Some of them are coming from contingencies that have already been bought out and approved from the OPM. So, or the contractor, I should say. So ultimately, what it's going to come out to for a rebalance is about $31,444, amending the original contract price up to total for the project $59,768,144.
So the change order volume is 30,000, what was that?
$31,444.
Okay.
So what we would just ask is for the, a vote for the approval of change order 15, and this was unanimously approved by the building committee.
Okay, any further questions on that? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
Make a motion to accept the change order 15 amendment in the amount of $31,444.
Okay, there is a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There is a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, if any? And that passes unanimously. Okay.
And then also on that topic, Mr. Chair, I included late in your packet, moving services quote ended up coming back. We secured a local firm off the state bid list for the Middleton town offices 2026 move. It was Wakefield Movers out of Peabody. Good firm. They customarily
Really good family.
yeah. Oh, you know them.
Yeah.
Nice. Good group to work with. Had a lot of good insight for us in terms of building out what a scope of work would look like for this. So we ended up breaking down how many estimated crates, a bulk of the work is going to be moving files, and then there's a few specialized items relative to furnitures like flat file, the flat file in the assessor's office, for example. The PD had a couple items, so we put out the RFP. It came back for $8,000, which is a really good deal. And I think the additional benefit here is this group does decommissioning services as well for buildings. That's going to be kind of a next step after we do this move. This scope is kind of like the big hit in terms of moving a bulk of the items over, and then I think there's some other items that are going to trickle through over a few months after that we'll just move ourselves. But ultimately a good deal, and if we can work with this group to build out a scope for decommissioning, that'll help us surplus some of the leftover furniture in some of the other buildings and try to empty them out, so we're not just leaving them filled with junk.
Yeah. And less than half the amount of the highest bid should be noted.
Yep, we got it. Thank you. We got 5 responses. The highest came in at $16,547. Wakefield came in at $8,000, and they're qualified to do the work. So it's always good to get extra quotes.
That's just town hall?
That is everything.
It's every-
Police, fire, everything?
Everybody.
Whole shebang.
Yeah.
195 million. all
Yep,
of
195.
He doesn't have to get the U-Haul trailer any longer, so.
Yeah, we're gonna save our backs, but it's,
Not everything.
yeah,
Some
not,
of it's gotta be left behind.
So, do you need a motion on that?
nope, just as info.
Okay. Anything further on municipal complex update? Justin, anything further?
Oh, I'm sorry, no. I thought you were asking the
No.
board.
Anything from the board on municipal complex update? Okay. Next on the agenda is, as we've mentioned in previous meetings, while we have doing 2 big, large budget sessions on Saturdays, we are bringing in some of the smaller departments to appear before this board to discuss some of their budget priorities for the year. We have with us this evening the Planning Department, the Veteran Service Officer Department, Assessing, Treasurer Collector, and Library. So I'm going to go in the order of it's listed on the paper and start with our town planner. Welcome back. So, I think, yep, Jackie, you have that up on the screen. Tell us a little bit about the budget, any changes that you're seeing, any items that you want to call out, and then we'll have a discussion.
Yep. Nothing super crazy to call out. Nothing is changing super dramatically from last fiscal year. I was able to make some cuts on pretty small cuts, but some cuts on a few of the lines. And then you'll also see a reduction here for some of the things that are moving into the shared town budgets, so postage and printing, etc. Other than that, I think we're looking pretty good.
So we do my eye test here.
Yeah, I can't even see.
So
it, Brian.
specifically around,
That's fiscal 27. That's the change column.
Can you scroll it down a little bit, Jackie?
I can't even see the number,
Lower,
Jackie.
so you can see the whole thing? That's good.
okay, so I know with other departments, some of the questions came up around advertising. So it looks like last year, we expended more than we thought on advertising. I assume that we're more
Yeah.
what's going on, and I mean, God, I really wish the legislature would change the law here. We have to spend money in advertising in newspapers that nobody in this town reads, but
And that's usually $300.
Yeah, and I know it's such an
article.
expensive process when we have so many other ways to get the messaging out, but, so the column before, is that what we had budgeted or what we've expended to date?
So the 2850 was last year's.
Okay,
And then this, I don't think we've updated. We've only had actually one to date, and it just went out probably 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
So I don't think that's reflected here.
okay, I just want to make sure that I was conflating lines here. So the FY '25 actual was looked like 3,000 close to?
2850.
Yeah, and then we moved it down to 1,000. Okay, I thought we were currently at 2,850, so, no, the 1,000 makes sense.
Yeah, and I am hoping we don't go over that. We're doing a lot of the zoning changes this fiscal year, so may
Yep.
have not as many next year.
Okay. Anything else in here that you want to call out, or things that are giving you any pause? So I see purchase of services. I'm assuming that is consultative services, or,
You're talking about,
yeah, that's the total amount, but,
that's all
yeah,
expenditures.
so all of the consultative services we utilize here, we do this as a warrant article and not within the budget. So you're not carrying anything for consultative services within your budget.
Correct.
Okay, got it. Okay.
And
Folks have any questions?
a note from Finance Director Wood is that Anna did a very good job doing her zero-based budget. So including even her salary increase, her overall budget is going down, even when we do factor in the proposed COLA. So
But it's some of that due to the shared services, though, of
a
the...
little bit of it, but there's also areas where she's just right-sizing the budget,
Okay.
which is great.
Okay, well, I appreciate that. You also got a gold star from the finance director, so that's a good sign. Okay. While we have you, again, welcome back. Might want to have a little bit of an opportunity to just talk about some of the things that are on your radar screen that you're working on right now.
Sure, yeah. I think the biggest thing that is happening right now for me is our zoning bylaw update. The planning board has been holding public hearing, well, we had one public hearing in February, we have another coming up on March 11th. And that update is looking, we've been looking over the past 8 or 9 months at the whole zoning bylaw, looking to make a lot of technical and administrative updates to the bylaw. So those will be coming, we plan, to town meeting this spring. So the planning board, if anyone here, but also if anyone who might be listening online is interested in hearing more about that or providing comments, I'm always taking comments, and then please come to the planning board public hearing on March 11th. We'll be hopefully looking at our final draft on that date and moving forward with that, sending it along to town meeting.
Will that be all, so when you put a draft amendments to the bylaws, will the vote just be all or nothing? Let's say there were 30 changes and somebody agreed with 29 of them. What happens then?
Yeah, so the way that we've put it together is we have the planning board has planned, and they are currently in agreement that it can be taken as one warrant article, and so we would do one vote to adopt basically
Everything.
a new zoning bylaw.
Which is similar to the adoption of the changes to the charter.
To the charter, exactly.
Okay.
You know, what else is going on in planning? What else is big on your radar? I know this time of year is a little slow in planning with development stuff.
Yeah, we do have, there have been, I don't want to say super slow, but we do have some ADUs coming through that we've been seeing doing
Yeah.
site plan approval for. We also have the 35 Village Road project public hearings
That's
that are
huge.
ongoing. So the zoning board is hearing those right now. And we are anticipating that the development at 10 to 18 Boston Street, 49 South Main. That one is also moving forward, so that came back to the zoning board just in December. So they're hoping to move forward this spring, as far as I know.
Unrelated to this, but how many newly built developments do we have left that still need to have road acceptance? I know we thought we might have gotten one on the agenda this year for town meeting, but the developer just didn't move the ball fast enough or make, do we still have a handful left? I mean, obviously I'm thinking of the old tennis facility off of River Street, but do you know offhand how many are left on acceptance?
You know, I'd have to look up to give you an exact number. Yeah.
Okay.
I know on Kuchar Way, there's still 1 or 2 houses that need to be sold.
Yeah, lots.
Usually, well, they're
Definitely
built.
still one, like,
Yeah, I think, Brad, is there 1 or 2? Do you know off the top?
House, I think there might be 1 lot left.
So they really can't go
They're almost
for
done.
until the lots are all built and they have bond release.
Yeah.
and do you have, is there anything about on, off-town road, Simca? Did we have to go through it?
They are actually moving forward. So I don't know the exact timeline right now, but they have started working on the road back there, so that it's cleared. And I don't know where they are in the process, but I'm expecting them to come to the planning board probably this spring to have those final lots released. So I would expect probably at a future town meeting.
Do you know how many lots? Not to put you small.
I think that there's 13.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think there's 13 lots.
Thanks.
Very good.
Okay.
Thank you, Anna.
Anything further? Thank you.
Thanks.
Welcome back.
Thanks.
Okay. Again, going in order, VSO. Come on up. I guess I also get to say to you, welcome back, so.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be back. Good evening. How is everybody?
Very good, thanks. So Jackie's pulling up on the screen.
Is that big enough?
Yeah, I think so, eh?
I'd have to sit in front of it to see it but that's my eyes, but thank you.
Right, I'm with you.
Got it?
Yeah, that's better. Thank you. Okay, floor is yours.
The budget remains largely, even with the zero-based budget, I have the same set of expenditures, every year, veterans aid, travel, and things like that. Things like postage and office supplies, you'll notice, have decreased. Postage is going to go completely to the centralized sort of postage machine, with the exception of specific labels and things. Office supplies will also now be coming out of the central pot at the new municipal facility. So those have decreased. We did also decrease the travel, which you can see on that budget line. The actual spent on that has been under $1,000 a year for the last couple of years, even though it's budgeted at $6,100. We're decreasing that down to $5,000, with the hope being to build a cadre of volunteer drivers that we can then reimburse with like a per diem, pay their mileage or something like that to help get veterans and their eligible dependents to various appointments and things like that. That's been one of the things that we notice, I think, not just with veterans, but seniors in town, is if somebody has a stroke and loses their license, and once somebody loses the ability to drive, we don't have the public transportation. So we're hoping to build out that program.
Remind me, so services that are provided to veterans, obviously a portion of that, if not all of it, is reimbursable at some point to the town. Does that include items like transportation?
That would be separate.
Okay.
So the veterans aid line down at the bottom, which is budgeted at $40,000, that is the money that is used for the Chapter 115 program. That is the money that is reimbursable from the state.
Yeah.
This transportation would be an entirely separate program that Middleton would be putting on its own. Unfortunately, Chapter 115 does not really come with much support for transportation. The Department of Veterans Affairs at the federal level, they will provide transportation to specific veterans who cannot drive due to a service-connected disability. So unfortunately, that leaves a lot of veterans, out of that pool of eligibility for the VA transport.
Understood.
And that's where we're seeing a big gap in services. So the hope is to use that money, like I said, to just reimburse volunteer drivers who will step up and get our veterans to their various appointments.
So I'm assuming that the 960, is that 960, 980 in FY25 actual?
Correct, 960.
That was for costs associated for individuals that needed transportation?
Fiscal 25, I was not your veterans agent,
Yeah.
so I'm not entirely sure,
Okay.
but I think that would be a
Most
safe
likely.
assumption. Yeah.
I mean, some of it may have been travel for the VSO going somewhere as well.
Yes, and so there are also, out of this budget line, Finance Director Wood and I have discussed, there are 2 conferences a year, one held by the Executive Office of Veteran Services for the state, one held by the VA. So, and they will spread, sometimes they're in Springfield, they're in Falmouth, and so that's where some of that
Yep, no,
travel
I
reimbursement will come from.
completely understand that. So is your hope of bringing the line item from 6,100 down to 5,000? And what you've explained that you want to develop is, volunteers with some mileage reimbursement. Is your hope to get that fully operational within FY27?
At least to start it and grow it. As of right now, it seems to be kind of a defunct idea, but I'd like to bring it back. I think there could have been a good case based on utilization to drop that column down to $1,000 based on what's been utilized in the last few years. But talking with the town administration and the finance director, it's a need that's there.
Yep.
So we decided to reduce it by, $1,100 and see what we can do with the 5,000.
Okay, the other thing I'd mention, I know that you mentioned VA base for those that may have a service-related disability. Also remember, now, this doesn't relate to all of the Medicaid, all of the VA members, but a veteran that is Medicaid eligible is also eligible for non-emergency medical transportation. So Medicaid is the second largest payer of transportation in the United States. So if, just food for thought, you probably know this, but if you have a veteran that is also Medicaid eligible, either Medicaid fee-for-service or their managed care plan is required to pay for non-emergency medical transportation. So that-
Absolutely.
yeah.
The transportation in Middleton in particular, it's that missing middle.
Yep.
You've got people that are of lower income, they do have the Medicaid and other
Mm-hmm.
programs, but there are those middle class and lower middle class folks, they make too much for the Medicaid support.
But also remembering that NEMT is only for non-emergency medical transportation. It doesn't pay for, it'll pay to bring you to the doctors, but it won't pay to bring you to CVS to pick up your prescription or medical supplies. So, I like what you're trying to do here, and for me, even reducing it by 1,100, I think we should reassess this at the end of the FY27 is if the program, what we think the cost would be. What I don't want you to do is to build a program with volunteers and others, and then the dollars not be there to actually support the service. And I will tell you, I think the Council on Aging obviously plays a role in some of this, but I think the COA is going to be a wee bit busy in about a week or two once the doors open there as well.
I think so as well.
The other thing to look at is some Medicare Advantage plans offer a transportation benefit. So depending on what the age and, what they have for health insurance, there may be another source of money to get them to appointments.
Yeah, and the benefit of an MA plan looks very similar to Medicaid, NEMT, but many times they'll utilize that for non-medical services. It's really just a value-added benefit. So, a good way to start is if you have a member or a veteran that needs services, first start with what their insurance coverage is. And sometimes commercial plans are providing access as well, very limited though, but there are surely going to be folks in town that are going to have need, veterans in town that have need, and, $5,000 line item is money well spent.
I certainly hope so, and as you said, we reevaluate if there's either not the volunteers or not the need, and we can find most people assistance through Medicare, Medicaid, or the COA, we'll come back and we'll nix that line item.
Yep, okay.
Is it going to be posted regular office hours when you move to the new facility?
So regular office hours are a little bit difficult with my fire schedule.
Okay.
So the fire schedule rotates. So if I'm working Monday, Wednesday this week, it's Tuesday, Thursday next week, and it cascades. That being said, you've got me at the minimum 3 days a week, on the worst of it. and I have the cell phone in my pocket at all times. So within 12 to 24 hours, if you call the cell phone, you get a call back and we set an appointment.
Okay.
Which that also works. I will say that the regular office hours is something that is difficult to work with regardless. If I'm meeting with you to do a VA claim, it can take 2+ hours, and we're getting into your medical history, your service record. If somebody comes knocking on the door, I have to send them away anyway.
Okay.
So doing an appointment-based system is really kind of what works best for what we're trying to accomplish, in veteran services.
Okay, thanks.
How excited are you to have a real office that's accessible?
I met with 3 veterans today, and all 3 of those veterans I had to meet within their home because they would not have been able to get up the stairs to the current veterans office. So
You mean the
I'm
old
very
closet?
excited.
You mean the old closet?
The old closet, yes. So I'm very excited for that, and the veterans are excited. A lot of them are excited to come to, the new town hall and be able to roll into the
course.
office and
Then go visit the folks at the COA, or while they're at the COA, come by and see
the
you?
food pantry. I mean, it becomes a one-stop shop, which I think is really tremendous. And in my other community, the veterans office was based out of the Council on Aging. So I've seen the benefit of being based in town hall and being based in the COA for programming and community building. The town of Middleton now
You
is
get the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay. Anything further you want to bring up in terms of, now that you're back in the chair, and some of the services and needs? It's funny, I had asked Justin this the other day, if we actually had any World War II vets that were still in Middleton. I believe no.
None to my knowledge, and I have gone through the American Legion commander, the former veterans agent, as well as the head of the Patriotic Observances Committee. We don't know of anyone at the moment.
Yeah, okay.
If we do find somebody, we'll certainly let you know, but
Yeah,
that is
thank
that's a demographic that's quickly disappearing, unfortunately.
Be less than 12,000 at the end of this year.
Yeah. I'm not sure if Middleton has any left, unfortunately.
Yeah, okay. Well, I don't know if anybody else has any other questions on this budget, but I'd end with thank you very much, and we're excited to have you back. I think the veterans of the town are well-served by the department and what you do.
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be back, and it's an honor to be at the last select board meeting here in this space. So, see you all in the new facility.
See you at the new, we'll come by for office hours.
We'll be there.
Okay.
Thank you.
Brad, you're the next on the hot seat. So Brad, I asked this of somebody the other day, how many years you been here?
Started my 26th year on January 30th.
Okay, so,
When was the 31st?
30th.
We might have to look at those.
You gonna kill him for a
employee
day here?
records.
And I believe Doug
Gotta
Bryant
be
may have been the
precise.
last World War II veteran in town, now that I think about it, just as a side.
okay, well, thank you for that. So, floor is yours.
Well, I think key to this conversation is Kate, the deputy assessor, just received her MAA the other day, as a matter of fact.
That's right.
And so she will be attending more educational things, maintain her designation, and to learn more. So that's sort of key to the training and ed line, increasing a little bit to cover some extra, and as well as travel, because it's never super convenient to be doing anything locally. So that's why you see those 2 increases in those lines right there. Contract services, it's flat. There is a little extra for the reval on the commercial industrial side, so we kept what we normally spend a year for that, and the excess was put in the capital budget as a one-liner. I don't know if you've seen that yet.
No, not yet.
So you're proposing to take a portion of the contractual services, put it into a warrant article that could be used over multiple years?
No, it's only for 1 year.
1 year.
Yeah, so that was on the recommendation from Sarah to do that, so.
Okay.
So one time.
Because it's a one-time expenditure.
Yeah, so it's a, yeah, no, okay, I get that. Okay, I thought you were saying to split some of your contractual services.
No, just this particular one.
Because this year, there's a big commercial piece.
Yeah.
Got it, okay, that makes sense.
Let's see, and obviously postage and the office supply thing, as we all know, is going to be sort of centralized, and so we knocked that way down. There's just a few things that might be special to us on the office supplies. Dues fees, went up a little bit. Kate's going to be joining in on a couple of associations now that she's got her designation. Are we going to talk about contractual services on the IT side?
Would you like to?
Well, that portion of that, it's,
Liam has already been in at the last meeting,
okay.
so everything was cool with your subline.
Okay, no, I didn't know if we were going to talk about that.
Yeah,
or
no,
not.
he covered those in his
Okay.
last 2 weeks ago,
The more you know.
but thank you.
Just checking. Yeah, other than that, that's about it.
Okay. Anything you want to update us on that's, I mean, we have an insider here at the table that tells us what's happening, but anything you want to update us on that's happening in the world of assessing?
I'm sure we'll have some specialized things coming along with some of these 40B projects. We may be looking at maybe having a little bit of consulting to aid us with that when the time comes. Actually talked to the board about that recently.
Would that fall within that warrant article?
No,
piece?
no, this would
Something
be a separate issue,
Okay.
maybe just a one-time to,
Do you think you have in your budget room for that?
for 27. Probably not, but we might be talking 28 at that point anyways.
And that would happen when the project is substantially or fully built?
Yeah, because we'll need to be looking at it from an income basis, and I think there's one particular person that's dealing with these out there that we might want to just
And as
engage.
it becomes, some of the units are below market value?
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a whole, and then the tax credits come into play.
Yep, yep.
There's quite a bit of, what's the word I want? Complexity with some of that, so
I was going to call it creative math, but, okay.
Same thing.
that's complex.
Okay.
We're looking forward to the move. We're packing as we speak. We have a lot of stuff already kind of lined up.
Well, you've got at least 26 years' worth of stuff, so.
But more than that, believe me. We're also in the middle of our scanning project where we've sent 36 boxes and half a dozen crates out with some stuff to be scanned. And then the second part of that will be in fiscal 27 capital. So a lot of those records will be scanned in Laserfiche.
So when your files are scanned, are they similar to other departments that we still have to keep the hard copies?
Yes, there will be some of that, but they can be dead filed, if you will, dead stored. It won't have to be, that easily
Yeah.
attainable.
Okay.
All the new stuff we've been scanning anyways, so trying to digitize as much as we can to get rid of stuff. We purged a lot of things last year that we didn't need, so the merge and purge has been going on for a while. So hopefully our move is minimal with stuff.
Okay. Any questions for Brad?
I do.
Of course you do.
So I'd like for you just to touch base about the revaluation year, what it entails, and the amount of workload that it is on the office. I mean, you have a good grip, you have a good handle, we're gonna be fine. At the end of the day, just so people know and understand what a revaluation is.
So it used to be every 3 years, the state would come in and go over all our information, require more reporting. Now that has gone to a 5-year cycle. We have a new DOR advisor for the first time in 25 years.
Go right.
So she's also training to do that, so there'll be a little bit of a learning curve on her end and a little bit with us too, with her. So there's a lot more reporting, a little bit more work for us inside the office. So nothing we haven't done before.
No.
So fiscal, where are we, 27? So 22 was the last one.
Right.
22 was the last certification. So they've all been
Hey.
successful so far.
Right, and I have no doubt that this one won't be either. But a revaluation, if you really want to just put a definition to it, it's an audit of every single property in the town, every single tax bill that goes out. It is a complete audit, right down to your land to building ratio, where your incomes are. It is very in-depth, and it's a full year.
And I will say that the fact that we do a lot of this interim work in-house, I think we have a little better handle on things than just having a vendor come in and do their magic. So I think that's helped in this town.
I was just gonna add that.
So
So Brad does what I consider, I do it too, but there are many revals in between the 5-year certification. So what happens is that maintains the values and the tax rate so that you're not plummeting on value and going up on a tax rate. You're staying right there where the market value is. If you don't do those mini revals, what happens is when you get that disparity between the value and the tax rate, then you hire a consultant to come in there on your 5th year for the reval, and the taxpayers are all upset because their values have gone here and their rates up.
So,
So
given
this
that,
helps.
given that over the last couple of years, the volume of sales has not looked like previous years.
it's been enough to satisfy the requirement of the DOR.
I know,
Yeah.
I know to satisfy the requirement, but I assume it makes it a little bit more,
Challenging?
yeah,
Sometimes. It seems like we usually get a little bit in every market segment. Might only be 1 or 2 sales in a particular segment, but we're holding our own with that.
And we also share between municipalities too. Like if Middleton doesn't have any commercial industrial sales and I do, I ship them over, and vice versa.
And it-
You know, that way you're still in the same market and you have fresh data.
yeah, town next door.
It's one of the reasons we use the vendor for the commercial industrial, because they're also doing half the communities around us, so they're bringing all that regional data, since commercial is just regional anyways. Trying to think, what else was I gonna say? I guess that's it. But, as far as, when I first started here, we used to take a lot of appeals, which ate up copious amounts of time, but last year, we had 9 appeals, and this year we've had 11, so I think we've been keeping that way
What
down.
percentage of that has been residential, what percentage has been commercial?
This year, probably, there's 3 personal property applications, 1 condo, 2 commercials, and the rest are houses, so really not I thought we might be in a little bit more with that, but apparently not.
Okay, anything further for Brad?
And this is my last meeting here too as well.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Gee.
You can come back and visit anytime you want.
And our next meeting will be the last in our office, so looking forward to the move.
Good job, Brad.
Good night. Thank you.
Okay, next up, treasurer collector.
Hey, Nick.
Hello, how's everybody doing?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Here you go. Okay.
Is that
So-
big enough?
But, yeah, I can,
I'm gonna go down a little bit.
I mean, I'm squinting, but it's,
Just so you can get us into
Yeah.
the calls.
Okay.
okay, Nick, take it away, floor is yours.
All right, so my budget's not too complex. What you'll see is in expenses, I've, between the, going back to the shared postage and some of the givebacks, my expenses are going down $4,090. With the increase to salaries, I think the overall budget is increasing 0.21%. Some of the, if you look at it, some of the percentages look a little bit crazy, but that's because we just moved some between lines. I had a separate travel and training and education line. We combined that into one, just training and education, instead of having 2 separate. I ended up giving back about $700 between training and travel.
I assume some of that is because your annual Mass Association of Treasurers and Collectors is really a conference and a travel as well, so you,
Yep.
so it was, because it looks like your travel line item is being completely eliminated,
Yep.
but
Yep.
your training and education is going up by almost $1,900.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so travel and training were mutually exclusive, so I just put them all in one line.
So given that, right now, your travel, as it sits in this fiscal year, your travel and training and education is at 4,700. And you're proposing for the next year, the two of them combined to be 4,050, is that correct?
Yep.
But looking at the year before, your travel and training was a grand total of 2,300 spent, and the year before was 2,300 spent. Is there additional training that you're anticipating within this fiscal year?
So one of the things that happened is the conference, all of the conferences have gone up significantly. The treasure collector school went from $95 a person, and it's me and the assistant treasure collector, to $250 and then $300 for me, because it's a little bit less if you're an assistant.
Yep.
So it's a lot of that. Like I said, the assistant treasure collector will be coming out to the school for the full week too. So that's part of it.
And can she be certified as an assistant?
Yes.
She can, okay.
Yep. So basically, the training makes up of professional development conferences and certification requirements. Postage, as we've discussed with other departments, is coming out, but my postage specifically was kind of a slush fund. It include postage, adding postage to the machine for all departments, the lease payment of the machine, the supplies and service and maintenance of the
Yeah,
machine.
you were the keeper of the
Yeah.
postage
And then
machine.
at the end of the year, I'd go over, but then the finance director would transfer out to the individual budgets. Also, all of my PKS costs, which is our printing and mailing of all our tax bills, are in there. So if you see, like, the postage is coming out, and it's a significant 29,000 coming out, but 25,000 is getting, moved to contractual services. And what that is the printing and the mailing of all the tax bills. We have some bank fees and lockbox fees that also go into contractual services.
And some of that was in the postage line item before?
Yes.
Okay.
It was all in the postage line item. The majority of the printing and mailing of the bills is still postage, but we're not separating that out as individual postages.
Postage, it's, yeah,
Yeah.
I get it, makes sense.
Something I would like to discuss with the board about this, I think we could significantly cut that. I don't think for July, I think it's something that we'd have to advertise, but a lot of towns are going to the 2 mailings a year, where the first and third quarter, you put 2 coupons at $4,000 a quarter for real estate and personal property. That's $8,000 in savings we could potentially have.
So let me ask this question, I'm not asking for an exact percentage, but what percentage of property taxes are paid for by mortgage company and bank, and what percentage are paid by the individual? Like, how many are escrowing?
So our average quarterly escrow payment is about 4.2 million a quarter. So by 4, that's what, 16 out of the 43 million that our levy is. And then the rest is online or mail in or come in.
Okay.
It's a
So-
pretty big amount, but it's not the,
Many times we're mailing 4 times a year to a mortgage company and a bank that already has the systems in place to
Right.
manage that.
yep. And we get a lot of calls from people, why are you mailing this to me? My mortgage pays for it. Legally, we have to, just for record, but, I mean, that is, a lot of towns are switching to this model. My previous 2 towns did it. Something to think about. Like I said, I think this July might be, I think you have to advertise it to the residents so they are aware that you're going to get.
But is that something, so right now, you mail, what are the actual mail dates that you do? It's,
So July 1st, October 1st, December 31st, and April 1st.
is that something you may want to implement on December 31st? Or is that something you recommend at the beginning of a fiscal year?
I think we could do that. I don't know if that is something that the board has to vote on to make that kind of change around the town.
I know we always look at you for these things, but, so we're looking at you.
We can look into it. I don't know.
No
offhand.
impact on collection when people,
It is initially because people forget, oh, I never got a second quarter bill. It's like,
Right.
well, you did, you got 2
How-
coupons, so that's why you
how
kind of
impactful would
want to
that be?
advertise it. Usually we could throw like a mailer in over the next couple quarters, just to,
I
we're
mean, I
gonna be
think
making
I
the
think-
switch.
I think, Rick, we have enough communication channels in this town that, from Facebook page, the town's website, other distribution models, big huge sign in front of the library that posts things. Are we going to have a digital sign in front of the new facility?
No.
We've
Okay,
asked.
not a digital sign in front of the new facility, but other ways. I mean, postage only goes up. I don't even, how much it costs to mail a letter now?
60.
Yeah, 60.
You don't even know anymore because the stamps say forever.
Right.
So it's their way of,
I think it's almost 79.
yeah, so, I mean,
Yeah.
so,
78.
so I'm thinking of the printing, and I know it's not done by you.
No.
It's, but like the mail house, the printing, the so forth, when it's all said and done, we're probably talking close to $1 an envelope.
Right.
And if we could remove two of those, there's just a material that we're eliminating that usually go from the mailbox to the trash barrel. If I'm somebody that pays my taxes through my, through my mortgage and through that process, it's probably going right from the mailbox to the trash barrel. But, I mean,
Something to think about.
I think if we're gonna do it, it should be, the two bills that come should be the same fiscal year. Whether we start it in July and do 1 and 2, or if we can't, then just wait till 3 and 4, but have it, because that's forever. Once you get on that cycle, it's forever. It's gonna be a lot less confusing for the next 100 years if you get 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 than if you get quarter 4 and 1, and then.
Yeah, it would
I
have
think
to-
it's
it would
gotta
have to be
match up
1 and
with
2.
the-
yeah, and I would
Yeah.
say when that's happening and you're switching to, instead of once a quarter to twice a year, last mailing or the last two mailings should have some type of.
Yeah, we could put
like-
an insert in.
Hey,
Yeah,
boys and
like a
girls,
notice this is
reminder
gonna be
that,
happening. That's a great idea, yeah.
yeah, but I think you're saying that's about $8,000 to $10,000 a year?
Yeah, right now it's up to about 4,000 a quarter, so it's 8,000 if you eliminate 2 quarters.
I think that's something we should explore.
Nick, say this change was to go through, would it have any influence on the current contract that you have with the vendor?
No.
Like, because they charge you,
There is a possibility they may increase just to make up some loss.
That's
That's something
where-
we'd have
that's
to talk
what
about.
I
But
wanted
we
to-
don't have a contract, it's PKS, is just a deputy collector. And, unlike real estate, their motor vehicle, which is 8 commitments, they only charge postage for, they don't charge printing for. But it's real estate and personal property, they're also charging the printing cost, so that jacks it up a lot.
Yeah.
So we're hearing from our research team, which is Jackie and I believe the Google machine,
Research
that it
machine.
requires a town meeting vote.
A town meeting vote.
Really?
But the warrant's open, so.
So is that also an option to allow people to sign up for an electronic bill?
I don't know how that would, because we don't print the bills in-house.
No, I mean, I don't, doesn't have to be the same bill. It's just an email that, I'll sign up for it. So I would get an email, this is the information that's on the bill. It doesn't have to look like the bill. It
Right.
just lets me know what I have to pay when. And if that is allowable, I think there would be people that would do it, and if you can cull those from the mailings easily, whether you do 4 mailings or 2 mailings a year.
I should know this.
it may balance out.
Is that full commitment online that somebody could actually go on, click on, and actually see an electronic version of their bill?
Yep, you can go on City Hall systems and you
So-
can type in your address and see your bill.
I think even more so, it's not so much to what you're saying, even could be an email. Here's a link to the website where then you can, sort by last name or address or whatever and actually see the bill. And then if somebody's like, oh, because, I've seen these where it's like there's 2 peel-offs on the bottom or cut-offs of like, here's my statement to mail back if I'm mailing it or bringing it in, Like, I can't find mine, you can go online
Right.
and print out again.
I like that idea.
That's something I can talk to our vendor about, because like I said, they're already on there. If they can do some kind of, because I know if you sign up, you have the option to do auto payment too, so it just withdraws from your account. I can ask them if there's a way to, if you signed up an account, if it can just automatically email you.
And this may be an opportunity to just
This does
gather
exist.
email addresses that we can communicate back with folks around things like this.
Yeah.
So, and this may not be something that we want to implement, to your point, Jeff, immediately, but the warrant's open. I actually recommend we probably put this on the warrant. It doesn't mean we're going to operate it immediately, and we can be very clear when we bring this to town meeting that we want to do this, but it's going to be done in a timely and a methodical way, that we're going to communicate it in such a way. But, I mean, $8,000 to $10,000. I mean, that is, I mean, that would be a bulk of your contractual services, which right now runs at 25,000.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Got it.
The next line is just, where was I? Office supplies, I dropped that about 500. I think there's room to drop that some more potentially now that 3 people are going to be coming together to one office. One of the major parts is we're high volume printing, so our toner supply is very high, but I think all of us in one office, I think we're probably going to be able to cut down on a printer or two. So this is the room in that. But other than that, continuing disclosure, that's the file we have to present to Hilltop every year just to keep our bond rating up, and for any borrowings, that's gone up a little bit, and our OPEB audit has gone up a little bit.
And the OPEB audit sits in your budget and not in Sarah's? Is that part of contractual services?
That's under the continuing disclosure fees.
Oh, it's in the continuing disclosure fees, okay. And who does the OPEB audit? Is that done
I do
by?
that. Oh, the company is,
So it's not done by our auditor?
no.
Okay,
It's Parker Ellsworth, I can't remember his company, Odyssey, I think?
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Anything else you want to point out, either in the budget or, update us on some things that are happening in the department? And
So just like everyone else said, we're getting ready for the move. We will, once we're in we've talked to IT, once we're in the new building, we will have capability for credit card payments at the window, which will be helpful. Other than that, it's kind of same old, same old.
for those that are doing a credit card payment, is there, at the window, is there a, because we don't do that now, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so if we're going to be doing that in the future, is there a, I don't know this, but I should, is there a fee associated?
It's a 2.9% fee for credit card. and
Okay.
that doesn't go to the town at all. That's what the credit card company
That just,
charges
it's a wash in terms of the fee.
Even for like a dump sticker or just for taxes?
for everything. Anything that you swipe, it's a 2.9% of the total bill.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest problems I've had in the past with, someone will come up, I want to pay a credit card, that you go through the process swiping, and then they see the fee on a $2,000 tax bill. It's significant, and they're like, oh, I don't want to pay that, so this cancel the
And
whole
maybe getting
thing.
points.
You get the point, yeah.
Okay.
Other than that, I think that's about it.
A couple of questions I have. So how are we doing in terms of collection, overdue collection, and more so longer overdue collection?
So we're doing well. I have a couple numbers for you. So, going back to 1999, our current, between tax title and just unpaid taxes, is $950,000 over the past 25 years. 690,000 of that is actual tax. The rest is interest.
And how many of that actually goes back, like, really far?
So 449,000 is in current tax title, which goes from 1999 to 2020. From 2021 through now, we have 494,000 in unpaid taxes.
Okay. And you may not know this off the top of your head, how much of that is property and how much of that is personal property?
This is all real estate.
All real estate, okay. So those that are in tax title, what is the Like, what does the next step in the process look like on that?
So the majority of ours in tax titles are currently sitting with council. It's a lot of that looking for heirs, abandoned properties, stuff like that. And out of.
So these may be properties that are either unbuildable, abandoned, so it's not,
Yep.
okay.
Could be small lots that don't have anything on it, that nobody just wants to pay the taxes on. And then in that 494 number of current, 31 of them make up of the people that are also prior tax titles that have been for 20 years. So our collection rate is around 98%. We're doing pretty well.
And then one other question is, so, our esteemed leader at Beacon Hill has proposed,
The motor vehicle.
yes, that, like, one of the tools that you have right now for folks that aren't paying their excise is, or parking tickets, which we don't have a lot of those in this town. But if you don't pay it, you can't renew your license.
Correct.
And that's probably our biggest lever right now
Right.
on excise. What is your association, like the treasurer collectors?
They have a whole team of lawyers that are trying to fight this right now at the current moment. This was something that kind of got sprung on, I think, about a month ago.
Exactly.
And it's kind of like the tax
Came
title law
right to
change.
the
It's like,
inbox.
they didn't actually ask any treasurers or anybody how this works. It
No
just,
finance directors.
Yeah,
no
I mean,
anything else.
I'm trying to find the rationale for doing so. Like, for me, I'm not trying to be political on this, but like, what's the rationale for if you haven't paid your bill
yeah.
to be the one lever that is left?
So the one thing that the association has put out is she's trying to not mark your license so you can still go to work, but you can't renew your registration.
So
So you
what do
can
you-
technically
You still
drive, but
have
if you
to
get
have a
pulled over, you're still going to
registered-
get.
Well, no, so I mean, here's the reality. If your vehicle's unregistered, it's
Oh, God.
also uninsured. So, I mean, I would, I mean,
Necessarily, but-
well, but, I mean, I would argue one could affect the other, but, I mean, I appreciate she doesn't want to mark somebody's license, but I also don't want folks driving around with a license in an unregistered vehicle.
Right. And Rick, you'd probably know this, but what's the difference between if I'm driving with with a not valid license or a not valid registration? Is there?
Well, as long as you don't owe any fine, if it's renewable
Yeah.
or non-renewable, you just do it on the side of the road now.
Yeah.
Pay it right with your phone.
Yeah.
So there's really no difference,
But driving on an expired license is an arrestable offense.
Yeah, it's summons,
Yeah.
you'd summons them. You wouldn't arrest them and cuff them for it. But as long as you can renew it, again, even if it's expired, if you can renew it, meaning there's no court cost, lien, there's no
Yep.
insurance lien, any of those things, and you can, just because you forgot, you can renew it. We wouldn't summons you, and then they go like this, and they show it to you on your phone, and everybody drives away. Where the old days, used to take them out, tow it, charge them, arrest them, send them to court, it was a giant play
So,
out. but
do you have
not
line of sight to, on our excise commitments annually, like, usually by the time you get to your final commitments, how many are still outstanding? Like, that were uncollectible, that this is a lever that actually,
A good chunk. A large margin of our our collection of motor vehicle comes through either the demand or warrant process, unfortunately.
which means if the governor takes this tool away from us,
It
The
becomes
next-
like personal property where we have very little recourse.
or you have to go to small claims,
Yep,
which is just going to cost us,
right.
because you're going to take it to small claims, and it's going to be staff time, legal time, and then, or
Prep time,
Or-
I mean, it's.
or some vendor will come up with a model that will do this for you, and you're going to give us
Yep.
40% of what we collect for you.
And there goes your contractual
Let's
service increase.
put this on the growing list of what we have to bring to our delegation of things you need to stop, of stupidity and insanity that comes out of the corner office.
That's an election year.
Yep.
So I love that the first comment she had was, let's increase excise tax, but then make it more difficult to collect it.
Yeah.
Who does it
They want to
help?
do that 5% that the town's.
Well, it doesn't help cities and towns. I
5%
guarantee you that.
administrative
No,
costs.
but
That was
who in the
her-
And you can't
public does
collect
it
it.
help? People who don't own property.
What's that?
Who does it help in the public would be people who don't own property or,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, if you rent, you're not
They're
paying
excise- you know, they're
real estate
excised,
tax,
they don't-
and now
yeah.
you don't have to pay your excise tax.
Right?
I mean, and what's lost in all of this is the folks that get their excise bill and pay it on time, get their property tax, personal property tax bill and pay it on time. It's like, okay.
Don't get the pink letter from Nick
Okay.
in the mail.
Anybody else have any questions?
I do not.
One thing you brought up earlier about the borrowing, we're currently in the process of the borrowing. We're expected to have a bond sold by, I think, April.
A full,
A ban.
Ban.
a ban,
yeah.
okay, ban.
We just, this week, we're submitting the final paperwork, and I just want to thank the town clerk's office, the finance director, and the town administration office. They did most of the heavy legwork for the crap that we have to pull. The off-the-record number that I was told, if we were to borrow in April, is we could be under 4, like 3.5.
So, and that's Hilltop you're working with?
Yep.
So, I mean, I know Hilltop on soothsayers, but if they got their crystal ball out, do they think we should be carrying this ban for a while, or should we quickly wrap this into a final bond once we close the
I
project?
think ideally you want to get out of the ban as quickly as possible. Because you're paying interest on that, and then it'll go right back and pay interest on the bond, so this is really more about the funding, the funding source for the remainder of the project, because we're running low on what's in Bartholomew. I think we're about 6 million, so.
Okay.
Nick, do you go through Peter over there at Hilltop?
Peter Frazier? I think he retired, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I'm with Melissa Tolan and Christy Tofuri.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't have those.
I used to work
Right,
with
Peter
Cinder
did
and
say
Abby.
last year he was retiring, I
Yeah.
forgot.
Yep.
That's right.
Okay. Okay, anything else for us?
Nope.
Okay, thanks, Nick.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Nick.
Okay, next on the hot seat is the acting library director. Okay, Jackie, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much for allowing me to join you in my capacity as acting library director tonight. Hopefully my last report to this board as such. So first off, I will say I want to address salaries because it's in ClearGov, it's in the public digital budget book. It looks really bad. Please remember that we've just finished bargaining with the folks in the library union. So this reflects 3 years of contractual bargaining, fiscal 25, 26, and 27. So they're going from their fiscal 24 salaries to their fiscal 27 salaries. So just,
So I would highly recommend, when this budget book is printed, there are a couple of items that have come up.
Yeah.
We want to flag this with a star and a comment.
Yep.
Because A, it's probably going to save 5 people from asking the same question, and B, it
one good thing that'll call it out is to fund fiscal 25 and 26. We will have a separate warrant article using free cash for those prior years. So that will help also like make it aware to town meeting. But it just makes the swing look really drastic. So getting into the expense budget, and I do want to thank the library union. They've been great to work with while I've been with the department. Electricity and water, we're staying status quo. We still use the electricity, we'll still use the water. Don't see usage going down quite yet. In a couple years, I've been working with Peter Coleman. We're going to potentially do some light system and fixture work to help bring some costs down, but that'll be a couple years out, and you'll see that when we get to the capital budget. Heating fuel, status quo. Some years it's close right up against that 14,000 and change. Some years it's a little bit lower, so kept that there for now.
I guarantee you we're close or over it this year.
Yeah, it's very expensive this year. It's going to be interesting to see where we end up. Equipment repair. I did increase that by $800 just because we are at the point where we're seeing a 20-year anniversary of the renovation and expansion of the building. We're still very grateful for what a beautiful space it is, but we want to make sure we're investing in our equipment and building properly as it does age. The next one is a decrease of $200 in training and education. We have been without a director and an assistant director in a permanent capacity for some time, and last year we had some staffing shortages. I honestly considered bringing this item down lower. I want to let a new director and our new assistant director, Robin Luna, who's been with us since the fall, have a full year together.
So my recommendation is keep it exactly where it is. I know you took 200 out, but I appreciate like showing some movement on that, but we're going to have a new director. We have a new, fairly new, deputy director, and I think the opportunity is here for us to allow he or she that's going to be coming in to and we don't know what the training needs are going to be for the new director and the
Definitely.
staff. So
Definitely don't. I do want to kudos the staff because they've been doing a lot of free trainings as well through the Merrimack Valley Library Consortium.
I appreciate
So
that,
they
but I
are-
would keep it at the 1,200.
Yeah, okay. But they are going to training. They're going to their air policy area groups and going to training. The biggest increase you're going to see is in the MVLC and program line. So that line has about $6,000 every year for programming. We do thank the Friends for their generous support of our programming throughout the rest of the year. The balance of that is for the Merrimack Valley Library Consortium, and that is all of our e-materials outside of databases. That is the cost of the software that checks out all of your books, sends you the reminder notices to come pick up your holds, lets you know that your book is overdue, etc. It also provides all of our interlibrary loan services, so we get a delivery of roughly 5 bins a day on all days that the library is open of materials coming to Middleton patrons and materials leaving Middleton to go to patrons and the rest of the consortium. They also help us with training. They manage our IT that our local IT doesn't. So it is a good value for the dollar. They have not done a meaningful increase, if any, since the fiscal 2009 budget cycle. So we are having the executive director of MVLC into the next trustees meeting to talk about this because it is a significant increase in this budget cycle. Roughly $7,400 just in that one line item. So it's on our radar. The trustees are definitely getting into it. I don't know how much movement there will be from MVLC, but if we aren't a member of our consortium, we lose a number of software and digital items, but we also lose our interlibrary loanability, which is really challenging for people that utilize that service. It is very common.
Yep, understood.
Moving forward, the rest of the budget, I have left relatively status quo. Have been working on contractual services with Peter. I think Justin talked about the elevator during the budget summary. Working to get an elevator contractor that covers the 2 new elevators in the new Middleton Municipal Complex and the library's elevator. We're readjusting the contract with our HVAC provider with some filtration and glycol replenishment. There's a lot of moving parts there. I've been working with Peter. That item is going to be tight this year. I'm probably going to end up making up for it in building maintenance supplies, which is where we do our cleaning supplies, our custodial supplies, toilet paper, paper towels, etc. I'm working really hard to not see the finance committee at the end of the year for a year-end transfer, but I'll tell you that line is particularly tight.
So I was going to ask, in FY '25, there was a huge jump
Yep.
to 52,000.
What a great question, Brian. Thank you so much.
So, and you didn't even ask me to ask that, so.
No, I didn't, but it
I'm
is.
squinting to see it. So can you explain like what had happened then?
Yeah.
And
It's a perfect amalgam. $30,000 or so that year for bibliotemps when we had them come in during the transition.
Yep, got it.
That's a one-time deal. And
I
we-
was going to ask if it was in that line item. That's where I was going.
We did,
Okay.
and so I did get a reserve fund transfer for that, but that does have to reflect in our actual appropriation.
Okay, got it.
But as far as the 23,244, we're going to be coming up on that ceiling this year. I am working with Peter to do a lot of different things. There's a lot of moving parts within that building that we're trying to make sure we're investing appropriately, but coming in under budget. And again, building maintenance is going to be where we make up for that. And we also put a hold on our office supplies line for right now. The staff know they're not to order any more office supplies unless it's for book bindery so that materials can get into circulation. which is great segue into books and publications is the one area where I also foresee a change coming. So now that the union contract has been recently settled, I'm going to have to recalculate books and materials because that is based on a percentage of our total library budget. And that includes anything we spend on the library. One item that also got moved into salaries and wages was the custodians were in town buildings instead of in the library from a salary budget. Don't know why. They're still counted on the state's ARIS report for what our spend is. So we moved the custodians in salary and wages, and that books and materials will get a better calculated amount.
So you're expecting it to be more than 108?
I am, because right now, last year we were at, for our fiscal 25 actual, 116,265.81, and we need the spend to be right there, or we are going to be on the chance of losing our certification. We actually already get a waiver for the Flint Public Library because of how open our building is and accessible to the public. We get a waiver for our hours of operation to have our spend at this amount. If we weren't open as much as we were, we'd actually have to increase our books and materials spend or, again, risk that certification.
So are you going to be amending that line item by when?
I'm already working with Sarah on that number. In the draft you'll see for capital budget Saturday, it'll be finalized because we'll have all of the final union calculations. I'm still checking salary and step schedules.
Not holding you to it, but how much of an increase are you thinking is going to happen here?
10 to 15,000.
Okay. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, you've got 3 fiscal years of
Catch up.
catch up on salary and then the transition over of the custodial line item and all of that. So all makes sense.
And then last but not least, we have mileage and dues and memberships. We haven't been participating in some of the library director, the ALA, so I have that available for when a new director gets started at some point during this fiscal year. And then mileage is for when typically we have some wonderful tax work-off volunteers who help us with our homebound patron delivery, but in the event of bad weather or something comes up, we do have library staff that will handle those homebound deliveries, and we take care of those every 3 weeks. So every 3 weeks we have some mileage for that purpose, and then if there's any mileage going to a class or a conference.
Okay.
And I will offer, because we are on Candid Camera, I'm going to take you up on the commercial. If folks are at home on school vacation and bored, and they're so bored they're watching the select board meeting, I encourage them to head to the library. We have a lot of wonderful new items in the Library of Things, and the children's room has date with a book bags. So if you're looking for a new read, check it out. Some awesome programming going on by the librarians. The Ferris Princess came today as well, if you had wanted to see her. She's come and gone. Over 100 people at Ferris Princess. Thank you, Trustee Piccoli, for live time updates. So,
Nice.
Wow, impressive.
Okay. Anything else you want to update us on?
did you bring up the library director search in your TA update? Well, briefly, we are still on track for Monday, February 23rd for finalist interviews for our library director position. I'm just coordinating. We will have 2 finalists coming forward to that joint meeting, and those names and the agenda will be released later this week.
Where is that meeting going to happen?
The Flint Public Library.
Okay.
Meeting
I was going
rooms.
to see if I was going to catch you on we'd never meet here again.
No. We'll be in the library for that, and we're going to hopefully start promptly at 6 p.m.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you,
Good
Jackie.
opportunity for a call out to thank the folks on the screening committee for their work yet again of calling the list down. There's some good candidates coming forward.
Yep, there are. A lot of good effort by all the,
So I would be remiss if we didn't close this budget discussion in the library without saying a big thank you to you, Jackie. I think your colleagues on the trustee board would agree with me. We asked you to step in for what we thought was going to be a short period of time to cover the library in interim capacity, and you've been interim library director for how long now?
7 months.
7 months. And we're probably talking,
April 1.
I was going to say maybe 2 months. You're
April
being
1.
ambitious. Okay, April 1 until you get to hand the keys over.
You do know that's April Fool's
but I-
Day.
I don't think I haven't been laughing at that one yet.
So
Go to
I just
April
want to
2nd.
publicly say a big thank you to you, Jackie. So you've been balancing interim library director. For a short period of time, you were the acting town administrator. You were also very actively involved in so much of our contract negotiation with our unions, which are moving along fabulously well in timing. Your full-time job as assistant town administrator, HR director, so managing a council on aging screening process director, managing a library director screening process. So I just want to say,
And don't forget, helping the COA since Jillian left. So you're a Jackie of many hats.
we could like to call it Jackie of all trades, but
Right.
I just want to say, obviously, the board members can chime in on this, but I just want to say on behalf of the town, thank you very much. I know I yell at you a lot about you need to take some time off and not be so overly committed to the town, but we are so damn lucky that you don't take a lot of time off and are overly committed to the town. So I just want to say thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Great job with the library.
Thank you, Jackie.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay.
And I am taking a lot of time off for the rest of this calendar year, so I'll see you when I see you.
Jackie and I are going to see each other in Ireland, so.
Yeah, that is, and we have another member of our staff that's also going to be there at the same time, so it's a very Middleton takes Galway.
Okay.
It'd be great.
We may take minutes. Okay, I think that is it for budget presentations. Thank you for the department heads and interim and acting department heads that came in for this. And we're going to move to next on the agenda. So, Jackie, if you want to come over back to your seat over here and bring us to the next item on the agenda, which is annual licensing follow-up, any outstanding
Could
common
I
vics.
trouble you to take an item out of order first?
I sure can.
You take the appointment that's later on the agenda out of order so we can
Number 9.
let some
So I
lovely
think we
folks go
have
home.
some folks in the crowd that are excited for number 9 on the agenda, and I'm excited for number 9 on the agenda. Daniela, I'm going to ask you to come up and you can take a seat or you can stand up in front, whatever you want, because, okay, so,
Brian, I'm going to recuse myself
Sure.
from this.
okay. Let the record show that. So, Daniela, welcome before the board this evening. You're not a stranger to the town, and surely a stranger to the board. Surely in the budget that we just talked about in the library, that your time there, but to Costa's point, as we have not had a Council on Aging director for a period of time, as Jillian had moved on to her new opportunity, our deputy director really was carrying both roles there. So tonight, we have the opportunity, after a process of multiple interviews through the Council on Aging Screening Committee, we sit here at a finalist candidate, and that is Daniela.
Yes.
So, actually got a call today from my mother.
I texted her a couple days ago.
Oh, she's already told me how excited she is that this was on the agenda this evening. And I will tell you, my mother did not influence me in this decision, but I'm equally as excited as my mother is on this for the appointment of a Council on Aging director. So I'm going to turn this over to, I don't know if, Jackie, you have anything you want to add on this, because I know you helped manage the Council on Aging Screening Committee.
I want to start by thanking the members of the screening committee, so Costa Prendagas from the Select Board, Margaret Alfonso and Barbara Sanborn from the Council on Aging Board, Laura Hillary from our Rec Commission, and then department heads Kevin Welch, our VSO, who had joined us tonight, and then Chief Lacoste of Middleton Fire, 2 departments that work really heavily with our wonderful Council on Aging team. And we had a great process. It was a competitive process. It was an excellent pool of candidates. Honestly, a lot of buzz about the new buildings, but also just a lot of buzz about the great things that are already happening at the Middleton Council on Aging. We brought Daniela in for a final round as well as another candidate, and are making the recommendation, Justin and myself, to move forward with Daniela tonight. She's, I think, going to do great. I think we can't wait to see what she does. One of my favorite comments from a screening committee member, who I will keep nameless, is that Daniela brings all the warm and fuzzy things that you can't really name to the Council on Aging, in addition to all of the operational things she does. And I've seen her in action with the staff, and we couldn't be more excited.
Well, I'm seeing a lot of smiles in the audience, so I think a lot of folks are agreeing with that. So, Daniela, when can you start?
Tomorrow.
So, floor is yours. Anything you'd like to add?
I would like to thank the Select Board, the Screening Committee, the Town Hall has been wonderful. I would really like to thank the amazing staff and volunteers that we have at the COA. I started 7 months ago, or almost 8 months ago, and if you had told me 8 months ago that this would be where I was sitting, I would be like, wait, what? But that staff and those volunteers and the participants, I know I said this at my first interview, it's like walking into your home away from home. You really do get those warm and cozy, fuzzy feelings when you walk in. Jackie asked me my question that I loved, and she said, what do you love about the COA, or what's, something that excites you? And I said, oh my gosh, I said, if you ever go to one of our dance parties with our wonderful DJ Harmonium, you just seeing everybody light up there, it's just the best feeling in the world. I know everybody loves their town departments that they work in, and the library was a wonderful place to work before. That was also, I got the warm and fuzzy feelings there too. But walking into the COA every day and seeing those participants light up and the staff light up and the volunteers light up, and you have people that want to be there, there's no price. So I want to thank everybody for getting me to where I am. I want to thank my wonderful family. I have one who's still in New York in college, so we'll send her the video. But I have a wonderful extended family here, and I have a lot of support from some of our COA friends here tonight too. So I just wanted to say thank you. I'm really excited about taking us from the building that we're in and, taking this adventure with everybody. I do wake up, I'm not going to lie, sometimes at 3 a.m. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I forgot about, we're going to have to pack this up. But I'm okay. But I have 4 kids. I'm like, I'm pretty good about juggling a lot of things anyways. But I'm super excited about the adventure ahead for myself and the town. I think having a municipal campus is just going to be one of the best things we've ever done. I think having the safety building right next to us, having town hall right in the same building, I'm like, this is, it's going to be awesome. I'm really, really excited.
Well, I've said numerous times, once the new facility opened, there's going to be a lot of folks who are going to want to come see it and engage in it. It's probably going to want to be even more now that you're at the helm. So I'm excited as you are. Also not discounting the fact that there's going to be a lot of work ahead, but I think you've got a good village around you, both your staff that I think is fabulous over there. I assume very shortly we're going to be recruiting a new replacement for your role, but I think this is your opportunity to put your imprint on the programs that are happening over there. So I don't know if anybody else has anything they want to add.
Daniela, I've known you for a very long time, and when Jillian was here for her last department head update, I asked her, what's the most important thing in a successful COA director, and that's sort of the personality, the empathy, which you have. All of the other things can be learned. And, Jillian was not a municipal COA director before she came to Middleton, but she was very successful because of that empathy and that desire to mingle and help people, which you have in spades. So I'm very excited that you're taking this role on. I know that it will be a challenge, especially in your first year, in the role as you're learning things. And, don't be shy about asking for help. When this board, the administration, your COA board will all help you. There's, other COA directors. Jillian's a phone call away. So I think, after you get through that learning year, the sky's the limit as to what you will be able to do on that facility, and I think we'll be lucky to have you for a number of years.
Yes. And I forgot to mention her, but I'm going to send her the video after. I had lunch with Jillian yesterday, so she is still, now she said she's not my boss, she can be my friend. So she is somebody I have been leaning on for the last month since she's been gone. She checks in on me every Friday, and she left me with so much information and everything set up, so definitely a huge thank you to her too.
Not surprised by any of that.
Oh my goodness. We found out there's a Thai restaurant in North Andover that's 25 minutes away from her and 25 minutes away from me, and that's where we met for lunch.
Well, I hope to see her at some point once we open the new facility as well.
She is planning on coming down, most likely in March for our, big first event, which I believe is the last Wednesday, and it's a traveling chef event. So she's going to try her hardest to come that day to visit everybody. We are opening, just FYI, March 9th, so, I hope everybody comes and sees this beautiful building that the town has gifted us. It's a huge gift.
If you build it, they will come.
Yes.
Anything else?
I do. Daniela, I just want to congratulate you. You will be and do remarkable things with the COA. Jillian did great things, but I think you have something that you're going to add to it with your personality, like Costa was saying. You are Middleton COA, and I'm so happy for you. But with that being said, just to piggyback on what Costa said, the first year may be a little difficult. You will be fine. You will do remarkable things. But if you need help, or if you just have something that you want to run by, please don't hesitate. Reach out. There is a network out there. There's a network here. All of us support you.
Definitely. And I'm so lucky I know so many faces.
Right? Congratulations.
Thank you, Deb.
Yeah, if I can, thank you for your interest in applying so that we can have someone in there at such a pivotal time. I remember when we first discussed talking about having a new Middleton complex, albeit with the inefficiencies and inadequacies we had with the current buildings, it was generally felt with the board at that time that how inappropriate and inadequate the senior center physical structure, with all its charm, it was not suitable for our seniors. So having something like that for everyone to move into at this time, and have someone who's a resident and has that, like Costa pointed out, that empathy and that desire, well, I hope wish you all the best of luck, and I'm very happy that, it's moving in this direction, so.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to entertain a motion for the appointment of Daniela Anderson as Council on Aging Director for a period through June 30th, 2029?
28.
28. I tried to get you an extra year. 28.
I'll make that motion.
And I'd be happy to second that motion.
There is a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I don't hear any. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed, if any? Sounds unanimous to me. Congratulations, Danielle. So go see Eileen tomorrow
I
and
will.
do this, and then it'll be official, and then may come by to see the new Council on Aging Director soon.
Yes, and with your mom too.
Oh, she already told me today she's coming, and I've been trying to get her to go to the center for years. She's coming now. So,
Thank you.
good luck with that.
Mr. Chair, can we recuse for 2 minutes to take a couple?
Yeah, we're going to
photos?
take a brief recess because there's a lot of family here that are pretty excited and I think want to take some pictures.
I might take them to dinner. Maybe.
Oh, hey, she's buying dinner, she said. So we're going to take a brief recess.
Any board members want to come do photos?
Okay, we're going to return to open session. Real quick, public comment. Item number 6 on the agenda, there is nobody here to provide public comment. Number 3 on the agenda, there is no follow-up on annual licensing, so I'm going to remove that from the agenda. Number 4, which is the FY27 budget process update.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to take a moment to thank the board and committee members, as well as department heads and town staff, Jackie and Sarah especially. It's a very long day, but gathering for Budget Saturday and talking through some of the logistics and elements of fiscal year 27, which we, going into things, had anticipated to be a relatively challenging year. And as the numbers have settled, at least for that snapshot in time on that Saturday, I think it proved out that it is going to be an exceptionally challenging year. And as of that Saturday, looking at a gap between our revenue and expenses that could exceed $860,000. Now, obviously, it's early in the year. There are some outstanding elements. We're looking at health insurance numbers, we're looking at where the schools are going to come in, we're looking at some outstanding collective bargaining agreements, and we're going to do our best to try to make things work. There was some conversation relative to overrides, and I think there was a pretty strong commitment and consensus in the room that we're going to avoid that at all costs, unless something catastrophic happens, but with the full understanding that if we can make fiscal 27 work, which is going to be very challenging, that more than likely for the government side of things that there may have to be an override for fiscal 28, just being realistic here. So laying that out, I don't know if the board would like to add anything. You spent that very long day with us at this very table. I welcome any updates.
So, when you say, we're committed to no override, but that's on the municipal side, but we have no control over if Masco puts one forward.
That's correct. Important distinction.
Which I think is looking very likely.
I've heard it's pretty close to a definite.
And we're satisfied that we're not going to see anything from Tri-Town on the, for the elementary.
Yep, and that's an important point as well.
Right.
Kudos to the elementary school, the committee, as well as the superintendent and assistant superintendent, for finding a way to make 2.5 work and putting forth a good faith effort to make cuts where appropriate and to try to tighten things up a little bit. So we gave a challenge of 2.5, they met it, and we really appreciate that. So at this point in time, everything's on the table to try to make that work. We had conversations of, I guess, in so many words, without spooking folks, whenever there's a divide that big, cuts always comes up. Cuts to services, cuts to staff. We're doing everything we can to avoid that. But it's a true and significant challenge, and we also had broadly, I think, a good and productive conversation about the fact that this is something that is not unique to Middleton. It's a bit of a perfect storm that has been, I think, pretty widely reported on through municipalities all throughout the Commonwealth, that when you're held to 2.5, but Prop 2.5, which is not a bad thing, but year over year, if health insurance and other fixed costs keep coming in far over and exceeding that 2.5, it's just math. It's inevitable. You're going to keep pulling away. So we're doing everything we can on our end to make it work and minimize any impact to town services and to staff.
Yep, agree.
Perfect storm.
And if there's a way for folks wondering about how they can help us at home, they should reach out to our delegation and urge them to support unrestricted general government aid, or UGA. It's a small thing that a lot of us reaching out really helps with the delegation.
I agree. Okay, next on the agenda is the May 12th annual town meeting warrant. We will not be closing until our next meeting, the warrant, but any other items for the warrant?
Yes, Mr. Chair. So 2 items, one planned and one that came up about an hour ago. So the potentiality for a vote for a lease of town property from a procurement perspective, it's pretty typical, and what we're talking about specifically is a carve-out in the new building that was intended for the Middleton Food Pantry, but now that they're their own standalone nonprofit, and technically not under the town's umbrella, we may have to tie up that loose end, so I'm still waiting on guidance from legal on that.
And that would require, because it's a lease, town meeting approval, well, actually giving approval to this board to enter into a lease.
Bingo.
And that lease could be for as little as $1.
Dollar for 30
be a
years
dollar.
type of deal.
Yeah.
Could be.
And what, is there a maximum number of years we can do?
It's 30 with an exception for 50, but I think for this
Yeah.
purpose it would be 30.
Okay.
Yeah. And then more recently, earlier tonight, we were talking about shifting from sending 4 tax bills, so sending, a quarterly tax bill, physically sending it in the mail, to reducing that to twice a year with the invoice for both quarters in that envelope, and it would be a savings of $8,000 to $10,000 a year. So we'll check in on that and see logistically what that would look like as well.
That's very surprising that needs a town meeting vote.
I think it's because it's a local adoption,
Well, I think it's
based on
because-
very preliminary research.
I think when a town adopts quarterly tax bills, part of the law probably requires a mailing unless we opt out of that. And it's-
You're, exactly,
Like an
100%.
unadoption.
The only thing I'd like to add to that, Justin, would be to really get what the contract cost us sending out 4 versus 2. Because I know municipalities that have done that shift. There's always that little hiccup in that learning curve and stuff like that. But I can tell you, sometimes it's not always that great of a savings.
Yeah, we'll follow up. It could be like there's a fee for setting up the printing,
Right,
right? And then a fee for every
Exactly,
mailing, so
because
it's
you're
not a true
printing
half.
the 2
Yep.
in 1.
Yep, we'll follow up on that.
So in addition to the adding the lease authority granted to this board for the food pantry and the change from 4 to 2 tax bills, understanding that to be determined when that change happens, but we're just asking for the authority. The last piece is the likelihood that there may be a override coming from the Masco administration. So, other than that, nothing else you're seeing for, and we do have the citizens petition has been cleared and,
Fully vetted.
okay,
Yep,
so that's now officially on there as well.
correct.
Okay.
But beyond that, nothing else.
Okay.
Sorry, we do have one more.
No.
If we, if tonight we make a decision about field use fees, or at some point in the next couple weeks, we make a decision about electric vehicle charging policy.
Oh, revolving
Right now,
funds.
we only have Article 20 as a creating and setting of the WUMP revolving fund. That's why these policies are very timely tonight, because we may want revolving fund amendments to reflect those 2 usages. But we'll talk more about that when we get into those policies, but that could still be all in one article. It just would be a denser article
Yep.
than currently planned.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, more to come at the next meeting. So, what a perfect segue. Number 7 on the agenda is some policy reviews around 3 areas. One of them is the review and discussion of the field use fee structure policy. Second is electric vehicle charging policy, and for those that are wondering, what does that mean? Our new municipal complex is going to have electric vehicle charging stations that are there. And then lastly, policy around the municipal complex room use. So, is that you, Jackie?
Sure
Of
is.
course it is.
I love a policy. So the board will recall, I'm going to go in opposite order, actually, is on the agenda. So the municipal complex room use policy, so just to give a high-level overview, it is in the packet on the website for those watching at home. But we've actually adapted this from the current policy that the Library Board of Trustees had adopted for meeting room use at the Flint Public Library. The goal with focus on public usage versus private usage, and has the general kind of rules of the road. We are very grateful. I can't talk about enough how grateful we are to the residents of Middleton for this investment. The goal of this policy is to give us some structure, because we know we're probably going to have at times more meeting room use requests than we have capacity for, and also we want to be sure that we're keeping these spaces as nice as we can for as long as we can. And so for the most part, these are actually very reflective of the policies that we have for the meeting rooms at the Flint Public Library. Having been, as we previously talked about tonight, the interim director for the last 7 months, I can tell you having these rules of the road when making those decisions is very helpful. So that's why I did the structuring based on that, because it's a good way to be able to navigate all the different room requests. And I do want to thank Justin and Chantel in our office, who both went through this for me as well. But we think this is thoughtful, manageable, and going to make sure that our municipal uses have their prioritization, and then give us some capacity for other groups and interested in booking with us.
The, number 2, it says that, groups engage in educational, cultural, intellectual, or charitable activities. There are a number of homeowner associations and condos that may want to use space for, their annual meeting or, and they don't fit any of those categories. Is that something that we
It
would
is still an
want?
allowable use under that, because it's still a community use.
So here's one of the questions I've asked on that. So I know a lot of this is brought from what the library has utilized, but for a period of time, there were 2 condo associations that were trying to use the library. This was a couple of years ago, and were told no, that the policy did not allow it. So.
We have
the
a
cost is
number.
put- I just want to make sure that it's clear, because.
Yeah. We have condos that book at both building. The goal is that this would not preclude condos, but it does not prioritize them over municipal functions. That's the first and foremost, is
Yep,
the
no,
municipal
understood.
functions. But they would be allowable under this. And so the one kind of caveat to that, just to give you an example, is if it's a meeting that's free and open to the public of a full condo association at the library, we'll book that. But if they're looking to have like a small group meeting, that doesn't mean like that's not open to the public, because there's like a smaller group of them. They may not be able, they may get bumped for a public meeting.
But you have in here that all meetings have to be open to the public, so if a condo association is usually only owners.
Technically, they can have members of the press, they can be open to the public.
Can be, but if they choose not to,
Then
by
they
this rule,
can't.
they can't have their meeting there.
Correct.
That's correct.
But this is the same
Yep,
status
same
quo
thing.
that all of those same, I think we've had 5-6 condo associations book at the Flint Public Library, like, it's pretty standard.
So technically, if they did, anybody in the world, you couldn't turn them away.
Correct.
Yeah,
Observe.
I mean, it's a public
They-
space.
That's the caveat that they're taking on using a public space, is that it's open to the public.
Okay, especially the condo associations, make that clear to them
Yeah.
if they're gonna rent it, that.
And that's part of why it's
Right.
in this policy, and we can make a tweak on the language so that it's a little bit clearer that it isn't, that condo associations are an allowable use.
It's
They're
like
not a priority use. we should-
associations based in Middleton or something to that effect. Or Middleton-based association.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, yeah.
Is there anything in here in terms of, like hours, that if the building is, let's say, going to be open till 7 PM, that their use must end at a certain time before the building closes?
Number 8,
Yeah.
do
outside
have
groups
that.
may only reserve spaces until 9 PM, which includes the time needed for running the meeting and for
And for
cleanup.
cleanup, okay, yep, okay, thank you.
You got it.
Or, and like, I didn't notice it before, but, or when has announced closings, obviously, then there wouldn't be any
Yep.
posting.
Do you need a vote to accept that policy?
If the board's ready to.
Yeah.
I would
You want to
entertain.
do all 3 together or
So
individually?
I think we should do them individually.
Yes, I agree.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll move to adopt the municipal complex room use policy with the clarification to, for condo association use.
Middleton Condo
Yeah, Middleton only, yeah.
Associations.
Second?
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
No.
Hearing none. Okay, what's your discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, if any? Okay, that passes unanimously. Okay, next on the agenda
Jumped
is
on
the
that
electric
one, Brian.
vehicle charging policy, 7B.
So this is preliminary for the board. We did include what another town is using. I'm still going through rates with Finance Director Wood, and we're also getting some input from the Middleton Electric Light Department. But the general thought of the policy is to keep it simple. And towns that have a kind of straightforward, simple policy is a fee per hour. We've been seeing $8 per hour long session. You can only do it in like increments of 1 hour. But the idea of having the revolving fund would be that we'd earn income from the use of the station. We'd get the check from the EV charger provider. That money would go in the revolving fund, and then the revolving fund would pay for the electricity use from the EV stations, or at least the share of the electricity use from the EV stations, the software that it takes to run them and communicate them, because we do have like a small annual contract with the vendor, and then any other expenditures related for us hosting. So like, for example, if Peter Coleman needed to do a slight repair because one of them got dinged in a snowstorm and he needed to do some minor concrete work to make it stand up straight, we would be able to take that from the revolving fund as well.
So I appreciate that this is short and sweet, but I think we have to put some more meat on the bones. And let me give you an example.
please.
So the town hall that my wife worked in, Marblehead, had 2 chargers out in front. And there was a similar fee per time frame. It ended up being much cheaper than other chargers that are available elsewhere in the community. And it became, and they had a time limit. Somebody would come in, park for a period, leave, come back, park for a period, leave, come in, park for it, and it was the same several cars that were utilizing it. And time quickly determined that the rate wasn't keeping up with what was happening out there. And I think there needs to be some requirement around here that this doesn't become a site that becomes a known cheap charging site that folks are coming to utilize, i.e. Uber drivers and others. I recently actually had an Uber driver in a vehicle, and he was talking about how he has his favorite places around the North Shore that he charges, including some that were free. And I just want to make sure that whatever policy we put in place doesn't do so. I mean, I view this charging station as a solution for those in town that may have chargers, may have vehicles that need to be charged but don't have a charger or a fast charger at home, but also when those that are visiting town hall can utilize as such. And then in the future, if we ever have electric vehicles, they would be charged here as well.
And I'm realizing some of the backup I've pulled from other municipalities isn't in your packet, so we don't need a vote on this policy tonight, but I'll send that out to board members as well for your next meeting. And I didn't know about the Marblehead one, so if anyone knows of any other municipal chargers in the area, tracking down the fees online has been a challenge.
It should be
Giant
comparable
range.
to the commercial ones. It should be no more or no less. It should be,
I mean, I would think the nearest charger that I know of near this is actually at,
Danvers Plaza?
no, there's one at.
Walgreens in Middleton.
Yeah, Walgreens in Middleton.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what the
think
cost
it's
is there.
Nope, it's helpful. I've been struggling to find them physically because I am not a user, so
And then the Danvers Plaza.
And do
where
we know
Stop
if
and Shop
a
is, they have
thought
bunch.
charger is a fast charge or a level 2? Because I noticed
level
that
2.
in the research, that it makes a difference
Right.
with kilowatt hour.
yeah, and
Makes
that's
sense.
something, that's why we've sent this to MELD. And tonight
Oh,
was
okay.
just to get, not a vote tonight, but just to get your initial reaction, your
Gotcha.
initial
Just putting it
thoughts.
out there. Yeah.
But let me, tomorrow, when I'm back in the office, I'll send you out the research of some of the other cities and towns that I'd pulled together, just so you have that for backup too, and if folks have feedback before your next meeting. This can keep until your next meeting, because we won't power them up until likely after we're moved in, probably the beginning of April. So we have a minute to, we do need to make them go live at some point this fiscal year. So we do want to make sure we get that revolving fund on the town meeting warrant for next year. But we can hang on powering them up until this policy's figured out.
And the $8, you're sure covers the electricity that would be
It's what we're getting.
used
It's
in.
the administration.
It's what we're getting from other cities and towns, but I am working with MELD to ensure, because we're trying to project things that we don't know. This was on the high end of other cities and towns rates.
Yeah, because there's other, the electricity costs will probably should be 50% of what you charge. If it pulls $5 worth of electricity in an hour, I think we need to charge $10, because there's other things that, as you said at the beginning, that needs to be paid for in association with that.
Eventually, somebody's going to pull out and forget to unplug, they're going to damage the plug.
Dragging it down.
Things are going to
114,
happen.
yeah.
And then we check that number against the
Okay.
commercial ones around us.
I also say for a lot of chargers that are municipal sites, some of them have taken the approach of, oh, your first 15 minutes is free, and then I highly recommend against that because it becomes a draw.
That's
We
too
want
much
to keep it as
administration.
simple administratively as possible with this fee. Whatever we do is going to be like a flat hourly rate, whether you do 15 minutes or 45 minutes, like, it's an hour for the first.
Do we ever look into, is it like, if there's any grants, if we were to buy any municipal replacement, when it comes time to replace a police car or the fire chief's car or with an EV, have we ever looked into grants and things like that for that?
Well, we're not getting grants now, but
Oh, federal could be.
I can't support
this
electric
administration's not doing
hybrid
grants for
police
electric vehicles
vehicles.
on the federal side.
There seems to
currently
be,
created.
yeah, mixed reviews, but we have had some conversations about some of our non-emergency,
Yeah, I wouldn't say the whole fleet, but try one, if there's grants, if there's a money saving.
something worth looking at.
Research some nearby towns at what the ultimate cost is for those with wear and tear of the vehicle and, yeah. A
Well,
couple
let's-
towns nearby had them and they can't get out of them fast enough.
Well, I look at the number of times required school buses be electric and buses are sitting because they can't even parts for them.
I will say we are thankful we did get a grant for the implementation of the chargers. So once those go live, that's part of our budgeting for the municipal campus was that all of these, the chargers themselves were grant funded, which was great.
And we have 3?
Way more than 3.
So that was the other piece, is that they were also required by code. So there's actually quite a sea of electric
many?
chargers. I want to say,
20.
I was gonna
What?
say, I was gonna say
Between the two,
18,
yeah.
but yeah.
Like,
Did you
I
say
know I
20?
counted them
yeah,
when I
15 to
last-
20.
Okay, so we are, okay, then further question on the policy, we are going to become a draw for vehicles. Because there's not a lot of,
Yeah.
I had actually looked online, I think you were doing the same thing, I looked online in advance of the meeting of like, what are the chargers around town? And that's how, I didn't even know there was one at Walgreens.
Yeah, that was good intel.
And I found that on a website, so,
So if anybody's wondering why there's that many, it's code, it's not us.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
okay. Okay,
But-
more on that.
Full feedback. If anybody has anything else before next time we see you, that would be helpful.
I agree with Brian, though. We need more meat in that one.
Yeah.
Okay. And then last is field use fee structure policy.
Yep. So we had talked at your last meeting about having field use fees. I do want to revisit it. I know it was also briefly touched upon on Budget Saturday as part of our revenue overview as one of the areas that we were looking at. Again, it would be a $20 for a one-time resident use, $30 for an out-of-town resident use, and then $25 per league for their booking with $10 per person. One item I will offer to the board is that I met with Paul Goodwin about this, and his greatest request is to keep it simple. We're so grateful to the groups that do provide us additional services, and we're working to codify those as much as we can. However, there are some groups that are doing that, and there are some groups that are not. There are also groups, I know from our DPW, that occasionally are booking the fields and then not using them when they're booking them. So if they have to pay the fee to book, hopefully they're only going to book the field when they're actually using it, which would allow other people to book the fields, because there are days that they do sit empty because a group will book and then not use. So we're trying to come up with a strategy that is respectful to the people who have been providing support, but also creates some equity for the groups that haven't.
So you talk here about comparable towns that have fees, like who around us has some type of fee structure?
Can I just say that that is not in your packet, but it's in your packet from last week. If you're looking for it, I'm just pulling it up.
Okay.
I'm really sorry it didn't make it in. So the comparable communities we looked at were Hamilton, Wenham, Ipswich, North Reading, and Topsfield. Reviewing it with Paul, we liked Topsfield the best because it had a very simple structure: the resident one time, the non-resident one time, and the athletic leagues. Hamilton Wenham does a little bit more complicated, where they tier it based on the percentage of residents that are in your league, but that's only focusing on sports groups. Ipswich, again, tiers based on number of percentage of residents in your league. North Reading has very different facilities because they have both regular fields and then they have artificial turf pricing, non-resident artificial turf pricing, and then a different price for a regular league versus cheering, and then they have a whole separate fee for when you use lights or not. So we wanted to avoid that.
We don't have lights, we don't have
Yeah.
artificial fields.
So that's where, meeting with Paul, we felt that the Topsfield ones were the best to replicate, and that was good equity within the tri-town, because some of these groups, if they're like a shared group of the three communities, it's comparable regardless of whether you're booking in Middleton or in Topsfield, so we thought that made sense.
So I've been thinking about this since our last meeting when this first came up. So if you look at the operating budget of DPW, the field maintenance and upkeep is probably the item where, if you look at road maintenance, you look at plowing and snow removal, I mean, those numbers, there are things that affect that, like what we're getting in Chapter 90 funds, what we're not getting in Chapter 90 funds. Is this a winter of a lot of snow, a winter of little snow? The one thing that I think stays extremely constant, and we don't get a reprieve on in our budget cycle, is the maintenance and upkeep of our fields. Add to that, we're going to have a lot more maintenance of upkeep. And I know we're going to probably have a policy for the utilization of the new common area at the municipal complex. Will that fall under this or not?
So that would be considered a different item, because it's not an athletic field. This is just focused on our athletic fields. The common will be a thing unto itself.
But what I'm getting at is, if you look at the operational budget of DPW, this is the item, regardless of the things that change, is constant and is always growing. The cost of maintenance, equipment, I mean, I know our equipment is part of the capital budget. At some point, this conversation reminds me a little bit of the conversation we were having around trash fees and the cost of trash, of what is constant and what is fluctuating, and what should be included in the fee, i.e. the monthly annual fee for the trash, and what should be part of the operating. And I think that should be part of this discussion. And what I don't know is, when Paul looks at his budget today, how much of his operating budget goes to our fields, both maintenance, uptake, removing the trash from the fields, emptying the trash, all of those items. What is it? And what percentage should be fee structure, and what percentage it should be tax structure?
Do they fertilize them too? Is that outsourced, or he does it, or?
They do that.
They do it all.
It's a mix, I think, depending on the field.
Well, some of the schools are outsourced.
Yeah.
Because there's a whole process that you have to follow, because if it's a school. I would expect it's not outsourced at the transfer station or behind Memorial Hall.
Correct.
Yeah. And I will tell you, the cost of fertilizing a field on a school,
Oh, sure.
because there's a whole process that has to be
Right.
followed, of reporting that has to happen with the state. And, I mean, so if you think at the fields here and the fields at Howe Manning, which are part of this policy, that we're maintaining.
So, and there's roughly, between Rubchinook Park, Fuller Meadow, Howe Manning, and the Memorial Hall, Tracker, Common Fields, there's roughly 20 groups that we've identified that we would consider regulars, and some of those are sports leagues, and then a smaller amount, I would say less than a handful, are one-time events. That's pretty rare.
And that includes the transfer station.
That includes,
Rubchinook Transfer Station, Howe Manning, Fuller Meadow, and
Rubchinook, Fuller, Howe, Memorial, and Emily Mar, yes, so transfer
Is there a way to exempt things that aren't sporting events, such as the Earth Day or things like that? Is there a way to exempt, to just make it to sporting events?
So what we would do then, I would recommend, is not having a tier, or basically no fee for resident one-time events.
So for one time, okay. Yeah,
But then
would
that
fix
still opens it up where if like there's another community group from Danvers or Boxford, they would have to pay
Yeah.
because they're not Middleton resident, basically. So that's certainly a way we could approach it. So that would basically give you an exemption for Chief Will's Day, for
Earth Day.
Earth Day, and for like the food truck festival that has been on hiatus just during the construction of the municipal campus complex.
And if we get to the agreement on the policy of this, I assume you're going to come back with a policy for the grounds at the complex.
Yeah, that'll be a little bit more complicated because the town common will have right of first refusal to rec when they want to do like summer concerts and things like that. They also have an audio,
So when you say town common, you're saying
the green.
the green there.
I'm talking about the green. So the green will have, the Parks and Rec group will have some rights first, not for sports because it's a green, not an athletic field, but for their summer concerts. There's also going to be a very different service agreement than our fields have because of the tech equipment in the pavilion that's going to be there. So like if we have like a concert or a band or something. And we also have the last couple years of the Eagle incidental take permit that we're working with our wonderful facilities director, Peter Coleman, and getting him up to speed on, that will eventually be fading away now that construction will be fading away, but we're still having there's still some parameters that we have to follow for as long as we are hosting the population. And so that will be likely an addendum to the meeting use policy. It'll be part of like the Middleton Municipal Complex use policy. And that one will go through our office versus the fields that will likely remain with DPW. In my dream world, we have a booking software that does all of the rooms, all of the fields, all of the things. But that feels like not a today problem.
And then lastly, for some of the town sports leagues that have been making contributions to the town specifically about supporting field use, that would go away and move over to this policy?
And not if they don't want it to.
I know.
It would be voluntary.
So-
the way it's all currently
So
voluntary.
I understand that, but I would argue if there is an organization that has been contributing every year, when some haven't and some have, for whatever reason, and I appreciate the ones that have, if we're now implementing a policy that sports league, let's call it, I don't know, youth soccer or whatever it is now paying a fee based on the per head, I think we should make the expectation that the contribution that they had been making voluntarily is likely going to disappear.
I would agree, with the exception of when someone's doing a material capital improvement to the field that is specific to their sports usage. Like if there's somebody, like soccer might be buying soccer nets.
No, I agree with.
We're
but
talking
what-
about just the fields
But there,
maintenance.
in the past, and I don't know if this is still the case, there were different sports groups that were saying, we're going to donate X amount of dollars annually that would go towards field maintenance.
So I can speak to this a little bit. So it depends on the group. And so you could run into situations where it's, if there's a parent of a kid that plays a specific sport who has a landscaping company and they'll come and like do the infield. As soon as their kid's out of the program, you're not going to see them anymore.
Yeah, no, I get
Right?
that.
So it's kind of hard for us to track those pieces, or if it's like, like Jackie said, if a specific dugout or a scoreboard or something like that, it really varies. like,
And I
from
get
year
that,
to
but
year.
it was my understanding that there were certain sports teams, leagues in town that were every year making a donation to the town. And maybe it's not as much as it used to. Some of it happened when our fields weren't really being maintained to the level that they should have been. And some of the leagues came up and said, hey, we'd like to put some money into the kitty on that. And I don't know if that's still continuing. I haven't followed that. But if for some, or maybe a few, that's still continuing, this isn't like we'd like to buy new nets or Joe's Landscaping wants to do the infield. Those are all one-offs. If those continue, great. I mean, we constantly have businesses and individuals in town that donate. But if there's been a history of certain sports leagues that have contributed annually to the town's coffers that have roundabout way come back to support our maintenance, I think we should understand that league is now going to say, well, we may have been collecting fees from our teams, and some of that money's gone to the town, but now we have a fee structure. We shouldn't expect both.
I think it's very fair to not expect both. I think what I'd like to do is come back with a little bit of language about if like a group wants a specific thing, like a scoreboard or something that, we've done memorials as well, like on the property, if people want to like, dedicate a field to a certain person, and the group wants to like dedicate the signage, I think we want like an exemption of like, that's like,
Yeah,
we
of
still
course.
want that part.
Yeah, of course.
I think, because I think that's a lot of what you're talking about, Brian, too. Like, it's been a lot of in-kind stuff that's happened, like actions and labor, which we're so appreciative of. But I think we just want to have like a language of like, we're not trying to preclude like if a field were to be dedicated to an individual or things
No,
like that.
I get all that. Okay.
But there were some groups, I think there was one last year that made a sizable, that we talked about, Justin.
Yeah, and it varies from year to year, and so to the credit of those groups, they do step up. And if they, if they find that the clay needs replacing or something like that, they'll make that, that contribution. And there are others that maybe haven't stepped up to such a degree. So I think the other part is looking at this fee structure, like we're not balancing our budget on this by any means. It's hardly going to defray costs at all. But I think it's important to at least have that baseline buy-in, and then if people want to continue contributing beyond that, financially or materials or in kind, then that's great and 100% welcomed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if I come back at your next meeting with a policy reflective of a non-resident one-time fee and then the sports league admin plus per participant, excuse me, I think that's what I'm hearing general support
So if
of.
there was so you're talking like youth soccer would pay?
Everybody that is a
So what would be,
participant.
let's say there was a youth soccer team, what would that team be paying per youth?
So say there's 20 kids on the team for
Yeah.
the season, not for one day,
But
the
this is the whole
season.
okay.
It's for their season. They'd pay a $25 admin fee and then $10 per person,
One time,
one time, for the season.
for the whole season, okay.
And what about, there are teams from, at last year's Earth Day Festival, before
Yeah.
the started, there was a baseball game going on between Melrose and and Everett.
Yeah.
So we need a fee when, that covers a situation like that.
So how does that even happen?
Punitive fee?
I think that's
We
a-
never
the
got the
non-
answer
They
how
weren't,
that ever
they
happened.
weren't,
No, they were, this league, I think, was allowed to use the fields, but, they were told, they got mixed up, they were told not to be there so that Earth Day people could
And they
set
showed
up.
But my question isn't specific to Earth Day. Why would we want wear and tear in our fields from a group, from two other towns? Like, what benefit to it? Why would we allow it at all?
It may have been a league that included a Middleton team,
Okay.
right? So
Yeah, they were
I don't know
they
the
were both
specifics.
out of town.
The
Yeah.
two specific teams were out of town,
Right.
but if the league includes a Middleton team and they play
Oh, I see,
in
yeah.
a different,
So in a case like that, I know it, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but say there's a league that has 10 teams, and 3 of the teams have Middleton residents and 7 don't have Middleton residents, but they're all utilizing the field, maybe some every week, some of the teams twice a year. Are they paying for a fee for every player?
yeah.
With all due respect, I don't know, because that is, while we do have a specific example of that, it's usually local.
Yes.
So I don't know.
But, well, on the simpler thing, if a league wants to use the field, then it's $25 administrative fee for the league and $10 for every player that participates
registered.
in the league.
20.
And they can play the whole season?
Yeah, that's the season fee.
Okay. Okay, more to come.
But we would never allow teams that have no Middleton participants, like a Melrose and a Malden team, to use our fields if they can't prove there's some connection to Middleton, right? Even if they pay, correct? Is that correct?
I feel like we should go back and ask Paul how that specific
I
instance
don't,
shook
yeah.
out. Yeah.
I think generally I want to say yes, but I would be honest,
We're not far into the weeds
we're
on
not
that.
vetting the teams, the DPW is, so just,
We'll check.
yeah. But I think you've given me enough direction to like actually finish writing a policy that can be ready for your review and a potential approval the next time. But if folks have other things that come up in the meantime too that I can address before March 3rd, please let me know.
Okay. And then to the point of electric vehicle charging policy and that, and if we do adopt a field use fee structure policy, you're also going to include the creation of 2 revolving funds.
On the town meeting warrant.
Yeah,
For
okay.
those purposes. And we.
So if you had the revolving fund for the electric charging, so when would that money come out of that? How would that work?
So-
Like any other revolving fund, it would be utilizable up to a certain amount that is
Town
that is
meeting would set
approved.
the spending limit every year as we do for our current revolving funds. So this first year, we may set a higher than we anticipate spending limit because we don't know. And then next year, we'd right size the spending limit based on, okay, if we have X number of chargers and say they get used X hours a year, it's gonna be this plus the contract and this. That's what we anticipate for revenue, so we're gonna set the amount at X.
But if it takes in more money than the expenses,
Then we have to come back to you and say, we need to adjust the fee.
Rebalance every.
but we don't, but the charging one, we don't necessarily just charging for what it costs.
We're charging for what it costs to charge the electricity, and then we're also charging a little bit of overhead for the contract with the provider and any improvements to the site if we have any, if any of them get damaged.
Let's say that the going rate, if we want to charge similar to going rate, makes a profit on these things. How does that money, what happens to that profit, and how do you get it out of the revolving fund to offset taxes or whatever? That's my question.
Basically, if we make a slight profit, it'll get saved up so that when we have to replace the chargers in 5-10 years based on the technology improvements, we can
But there's no
ideally,
mechanism to offset taxes with that profit or to take it out of that
You
revolving
can't-
fund.
you can't.
it's not a fee we can make money
It would
off
have to
of.
be for the
You can't.
purpose of maintaining that charger system, but I can tell you, just to be upfront, in my experience in 2 other municipalities that had chargers, you're not making money on these.
No.
Yeah, it's,
You're trying to maintain status quo.
So Jackie, one more question on that, because, so there's a company that will be, that when I come up to the charger and I connect it to my car and I use my credit card on it or online fee, whatever it is, it's not charged to the town of Middleton. It's charged to,
OP Connect.
okay, OP Connect. OP Connect is not charging $8 an hour. OP Connect is paying us $8 an hour. OP Connect is charging whatever their rate is?
No, they're
Or-
charging the rate we establish.
and then they charge us or
We pay a
take
fee,
off of it an
like a credit card.
administrative fee. Because you have the physical infrastructure, the hardware.
Because what I
and
don't
then
want
there's
is
software.
have an $8 fee that's charged, and then we get $4 back because they're charging a credit card fee, or this fee, or that fee. and when
There's
it's
a licensing component. for
Yeah,
it, yeah.
so,
And that's part of what the hourly rate encompasses, is us paying the 5,000 or whatever dollars a year it is to OP Connect. The goal of the fee, the hourly fee that we're charging, yes, OP Connect does the billing and then they send us a check 4 times a year, but the goal of the hourly rate is to cover all of the expenses related to the EV chargers so that, to Jeff's point, there won't be a profit for the town of Middleton, but it has as minimal impact on the taxpayers as possible.
yeah, okay.
And there's no mechanism, whether it not be a revolving fund or another way, that if there were a profit, that I could somehow go back. Let's say for some reason the going rate is just so high that there's a profit every year. There's no way to use that to offset taxes?
So we can double check with the Division of Local Services, but they do, this is something that municipalities are dealing with on a regular basis. And this is one of those true items that's a real fee for service. You can't, you
Make
have
money
to
on it.
prove everything of what you're doing. It's not a revenue
A perfect
generator.
example to that is, we had a revolving fund, I think we still have in town, for when somebody applies for a license to carry at the police department. The revenue that comes into that account for the fee can be used to offset the costs of managing that license, but those dollars can't be used for
Buying ammunition.
Yeah,
for the police.
ammunition or gasoline for the cruiser or repairing a flat tire in the cruiser. And for a long period of time, more money was coming in than the cost was of managing it. At one point, those revolving funds continued to grow and grow and grow and grow. And I think we just have to figure out what is, I mean, there's a cost associated to these chargers, 20 of them or however many are coming in the facility. Part of that is going to be some type of maintenance. Are we maintaining it, or is there an outside company that's maintaining it? There's going to be a process for managing the quarterly reconciliation and all of those things. That's where I think you offset
So what
tax
happened to the
costs.
funds from you said there was the gun permit fees?
They're still sitting there,
So
only
we
a
have a bunch
certain
of money
amount.
sitting that's untouchable?
Well, it's not untouchable, but it can only be used for the purposes of what that fee is collected for.
If
So
it's
if you
growing and
have
growing
to-
and growing,
Well, I mean, we don't have
that.
that many permit
And
applications.
we use to pay it our state fee that we have to pay every year because of share that goes to the state. And then, for example, if we needed to get new fingerprinting machine, we could
Because you
draw
need
from
fingerprint for
that.
the license and so forth.
So we do use it for that purpose. It's not just
Sitting and
growing
growing.
unnecessarily.
I mean, maybe the license to carry is not the perfect example, because a lot of the fee we collect, we have to return to the state, because of course the state always gets their cut. So, but that still comes in and out of the revolving fund, but it's not dollar for dollar. Does that make sense?
I mean, theoretically, if you want to get creative, if you had extra, you could use it for snow plowing,
No.
part of that,
No.
because you're plowing those, you can't, because you have to
can't.
plow, well, you can't use those electric charges unless you plow it, so somebody could make the argument that you have to plow around those, so maybe some of the snow plowing, there should be a use for this money rather than say, you get creative.
But I can assure you, there's not going to be an abundance. of-
Okay, all right.
Right.
I mean, our auditor will ask us questions, because they audit the revolving funds. They'll ask us questions of like, I noticed X went out and Y came in, why? And that'll just be part of the management letter. But I get what you're saying, and I didn't know it was going to be this many chargers, so. we
Yeah, it
may
could be a lot of money.
We may be a draw. Okay.
So, thank you.
Okay, that was an electrifying discussion. Okay, that was for Tim, who used to always have pithy comments. Okay, next on the agenda, we are going to be entering executive session pursuant to General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy respective collective bargaining negotiations, and more specifically, the Middleton Police Benevolent Association. We will be returning to open session to potentially ratify a contract. So I would entertain such a motion.
So moved.
There's a motion, is there a second? There is a second. I'd ask the clerk to take the roll.
Rick,
Yes.
Costa,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yep.
and I am a yes.
Actually, I would say one of the members is going to be recusing themselves from this.
Police first.
Okay,
Police first.
You doing police first? All right.
Yeah,
I'll
okay.
recuse, sorry. Recuse
okay,
myself.
so a 4-0 vote with one recusal. We are going to enter executive session, and we will return to open session. I'll call back to order the Middleton Select Board meeting. We have just exited executive session where we're discussing strategy with respect to collective bargaining agreements. At this point, we are here to take a vote to ratify the contract between the town of Middleton and the Middleton Police Benevolent Association, our police department union. I'd like to thank again the team that negotiated this, both on the town side, which is our town administrator, our finance director, and our assistant town administrator, along with the police chief, but also a big thank you to the members of the police union, and specifically the negotiating team, and a real big special call out to the union, to understanding the difficult financial pressure that the town is facing as we begin to create the FY27 budget. And I appreciate greatly the union negotiating in very good faith with us and providing some rational agreement specifically around the first year of this 3-year contract. So a big thank you to all. And at this point, I would entertain a motion to ratify the Middleton Police Benevolent Association contract for periods of FY '27, '28, and '29.
I'll move that.
There is a
I'll
motion.
second.
There is a second. All those in favor? Aye. With one abstention. That is a 4-0 vote. Okay, thank you very much for that. And last on the agenda, we will be re-entering executive session, but will not be returning to open session to discuss, under General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy respective collective bargaining negotiations, and more specifically with the International Association of Firefighters, Local 3097. So I would entertain that motion. Again, will not be returning to open session.
So moved.
There's a motion.
Second.
There is a second.
Rick?
I was going to say,
Yes.
please call the roll.
Costa?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yeah.
And I am a yes.
Okay, we are entering executive session, and then we'll adjourn.